Green Drop Lawn Care. From the big mall in the west to the Arena District downtown, Edmonton is beautiful. When I see your lawns, I know.
Since 1979. And they're in your community, keeping your yard looking beautiful with affordable lawn care packages that include fertilizer, weed control, drought fighter, and more. Visit greendrop.com.
Breaks free. Gets it. 7 seconds. Down the track.
Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Fast track your financial goals with a special rate term deposit from Vision Credit Union. For a limited time, take advantage of a great rate on 1, 3, or 5-year terms. Plus, as a Vision Credit Union member, you can earn up to 25% more on your interest through profit shares. For details, contact your branch today or visit visioncu.ca. That's visioncu.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show. On Sports 1440.
And on his first pass, but he still has the puck. Leaves for Pettersson. Try to go back to the brush. Now Pettersson after the puck.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Ball breaks free. Gets it. 7 seconds. Ball the drop. It's no time. It's not for my English. That's right.
Well, a wicked Wednesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for witching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the show. We got a loaded show for you today. We are still waiting. We don't know what's going to happen. The Oilers could finish first, second, third, or fourth in the Pacific Division. We'll know if they can finish first later tonight because if Vegas gets a point, they are guaranteed first place. If they lose in regulation to Seattle, then the Oilers win and they would finish in first. But a win for the Oilers does guarantee them a home ice advantage for at least one round. And don't look now, Oilers fans, but the way the Ducks are playing, Kings win, Ducks lose, the Oilers and the Kings would play for a fifth consecutive season. And of course that would tie the second longest streak in NHL history of consecutive years meeting in the playoffs, which is 5. The Oilers and the Stars did that. Toronto and Montreal have done it in the past. The record, of course, is Montreal and Boston, 9 consecutive years back in the 21-team league in the 80s and early 90s when the old Adams division. Remember the Adams, the Norris, and the Smythe? God, those are fun times, man. Good times. So I know some people want 1 versus 8. We can debate that. I'm not necessarily sold it's better per se, but either way, we'll get into that. Also on the show today, your Remchuk will be by Ritch Winter in the business of sports. Andrew Knoll will talk about the Ducks and they're floundering 1-6-2, and they've been losing to non-playoff teams. That's what's crazy. It's not like they had a tough schedule. They just can't win. Speck will be by, and we're going to start the show today with Hall of Famer, former NHLer. He's an author, analyst. Chris Pronger will join us, our big guest of the day. as it's the Gregor Show, always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, Lotto 649 tonight. You can get your tickets, $28 million up for grabs at PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, so let's get it rolling. Our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Ice Center, new state-of-the-art entertainment facility in Nisku, featuring 2 sheets of ice, 1,600-seat arena, and a restaurant, Summit Restaurant. Great food, great place for curling, hockey, and of course, concerts at Silent Ice Center. As we welcome to the show, Chris Pronger. Prongs, how you doing?
Jason, how you doing? Is there anything going on right now?
Oh, buddy, there's lots going on. There's lots happening. You know, this is good. We had actually booked this just for people out there.
Yes, we did.
Had booked this about 2 weeks ago, and you know, I have to thank you. You stirred the hornet's nest just in time to come on the show.
Yeah. I just wanted to make your show get some clicks.
So you know what? We'll get to that in a second, but
right.
I do want to talk about kind of the whole process of writing, kind of, you know, when it came to you and why you felt it was the right time to write a book.
Yeah, I'd kicked tires on writing a book for probably 10 or 12 years. And for whatever reason, you know, I didn't like the framework of the book, or just wasn't a good fit at the time, kind of passed. And as I started building out my speaking platform and building out the speeches, I really started to dive into life experiences, my career, you know, key stories that really resonated with the audience and provided some context for a lot of things. And so started to see the framework of a good book. And, you know, a lot of the stories that are in there are things that, you know, people can't Google. they're all up here in the vault. And some of which, you know, kind of tell a story and really speak to my platform, and, you know, whether it's leadership, standards, adversity, ownership, you know, accountability. And you know, I think that is the premise of the book, and challenging you to be better and betting on yourself, you know, making sure that you are the one that are pushing the chips in and you want to accomplish big goals.
Where did that come from? Who instilled that in you?
I, from an early age, was betting on myself. I think just having the confidence in your ability, you're always looking for those checks and balances of, you know, if we're talking about hockey, you know, playing against the best kids, and where do you fit? You know, how do your talents measure up against theirs? All the rest of that. And I think I just always enjoyed that challenge, have that competitive drive to see where I match up. And throughout the course of my career, as you know, there's a fork in the road, and you know, do you challenge yourself, or do you kind of stay where you're at? And I always kind of chose to challenge myself. I felt like my development was at a level where I needed to go up a level, or up 2 levels, to really challenge myself and find the growth that I was looking for in my development of my game.
It's an interesting one, because when you bet on yourself, there's always a fine line, and it's going to vary from who the other person is, or how they perceive someone, right? Like there's confidence and there's arrogance, and it's a real fine line. And some people will call other people arrogant without really ever knowing them. You have to believe in yourself. Did you find that, you know, a lot of people thought, well, one guy thought you were confident and the other guy thought you were arrogant? Is that just part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think sometimes it's how it's presented. It's sometimes how comfortable you are in your skin. You know, at a young age, I wasn't, you know, I was tall, I stood out, very uncomfortable in public. And I think needed to find my way early in my career. You know, I talk about it in the book. It was a struggle. And as I kind of developed and matured, I got more comfortable in my skin. You know, I think it maybe turned from arrogant or cocky to confident.
Now, you mentioned it was hard, because I think that's something like, you know, being short isn't great for a lot of guys. I don't want to be short, but it's weird. Sometimes being too tall, you know, everybody looks at you, and especially if you're tall at a young age. And, you know, I'm assuming obviously NBA guys get it all the time, but, you know, you're a pretty tall guy and you were taller at a young age. How did you stand out, even if you don't want to stand out sometimes, right?
Yeah, you're certainly not hiding in a crowd. I can tell you that. The hat and glasses don't work. So for me, it just, you know, I think it would be, I would lean against the wall instead of going in the middle of the room and having conversations. I'd lean against the wall and just kind of watch and see what was in front of me. But that I think that is also more personality driven.
Okay.
And that's ever evolving. I think part of the book is about challenging yourself to be uncomfortable. and do things that, public speaking is not something that comes natural to me. It's learned, and with reps you get better and more polished, but it's not comfortable to stand up in front of 1,000 people and be there for 45 minutes to an hour talking and actually presenting something to people that you hope are interested and hope they're getting impact out of it, and hope they learn something of value that they can implement in their lives and hopefully level up in their own right.
Chris Pronger joins us. When's the book available?
Book is out. It's official.
It's out. Okay,
so it's out. Came out yesterday.
Okay, perfect. Because obviously we've seen some excerpts. I want to get into that, of course.
No, you've seen one excerpt.
Yeah, well, I've seen one. Yes, that one kind of spit out yesterday. There was actually the thing that I want to talk about first. Probably isn't the thing I was going to ask you, but because in that expert you talked about the fact that you had, you were drinking a little bit, and that, like, how serious was drinking for you at that time? Like, was it ever a problem? Did you find?
Not in that regard. I just would drink to excess, to take the edge off, and it was my pressure relief. In the moments when I was going out with a purpose.
Yeah.
Very purpose driven.
Okay.
And everything. And I wasn't going out and having two, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of people at times, some people call it a binge drinker, and fine, but
that's probably the easiest route. And part of it, I think I already maybe had that in me, but my trainer was very much about, don't have 2 drinks every night. If you're going to have 10 on one night.
Okay.
Just for what it does to your body. Once you've had one, it doesn't matter anymore. You've kind of already done the damage.
Right.
And you need to recover the rest of the time. So it was already there, but I think that only hammered the point home.
Okay. So it wasn't something that you were doing every time, because I'm sure you played with guys, especially in that era.
Yeah.
Some guys talked about it. They battled with the bottle, and even in today's world, there's lots of people that do. So did you see? So you never felt it was an issue for you? It was just something that, hey, when I went out, it was either I'm all in or I'm not.
Well, back then, yes, it became more of an issue post playing, like more around COVID, and I'm pretty sure everybody's got the same story around COVID. What else are you going to do? And you just start having a few, and you're just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of spilled over into my everyday life after COVID. And with my head, it started to affect my head a lot more. I was having some issues, just, I was blacking out after 2 drinks, and things were happening that typically weren't normal for me anyways.
Yeah.
And so, when your kids ask you to stop drinking, they don't like how you act and all the rest of that, that's kind of the jumping off point. And I was like, okay, well, then I guess I won't drink.
Oh, there you go. Smart decision. So obviously the expert, I'm sure that everybody, is talking about is the decision to sign in Edmonton, and that you signed, when you're sitting there drinking, it's a big conversation and you're drunk. So let's kind of expand on that. Like, are we talking inebriated? Like, did your agent, because I don't, like, when you're signing a contract, Chris, isn't it normally?
Let's get something straight. I didn't sign a contract that night. I agreed to terms.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't faxing things and doing all that. It was, I agreed to terms and they announced it.
Okay. So then you're like, well, in theory though, could you then, because there was no contract, could you have backed out?
Not once saying, well, I mean, maybe, but you've already announced it.
Okay.
So I don't know. How do you walk that back?
Yeah.
I'm going to sign my qualifying offer. Instead, I sign a 5-year deal. Like, why?
Yeah.
Oh, I was drunk. Oh, okay.
So now, because Kevin Lowe put out his words, because he was the GM at the time, and now he had mentioned that like he had received a note from your wife Lauren at the time, said, hey, we're excited to come.
Didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did you ask her? Did Lauren?
I've asked her.
Asked her. She said she didn't do it. Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Okay. So when you came to Edmonton, you signed the deal. So when you signed, was your plan then the whole year that it was going to be one and done automatically?
Not initially. No, it was the original plan from the beginning of the trade was, I'll sign my qualifying offer. We'll go. We don't know it. I've obviously played there. That's it. She'd never been. And so it was, let's go and experience it and see how it is. Maybe we like it, maybe we don't, but let's just go. And then she went to bed and I made the decision to sign a 5-year deal. And so immediately that puts you behind the 8 ball with respect to never seeing the place, never seeing anything about it. And so that was the biggest issue for her, that she didn't, A, wasn't respected in that regard, and B, we've got a young family. What if it's not a fit? Not that it isn't a fit, it's what if it's not? And so that's the breakdown in communication. That's on me. That's my fault.
And how was the year for you in Edmonton?
I loved it. I loved the team. I loved the players, the teammates, trainers. You know, you think back with Joey Moss and Sparky and Barry Stafford, Kenny Lowe, Stu Poirier, young Langer. Loved it. Obviously, the coaching staff. I played with Charlie Huddy in St. Louis, played with Mac T in St. Louis, played against Craig Simpson. Like, you know, the continuity of the team. And then the young players we had. You know, Hork was coming into his own, and young Hemmer, and Rafi and Stoley, and just the makeup of the team. You know, obviously knew Stevie Steos from junior, knew Jason Smith from the World Junior. Like, I knew a lot of the guys already. So just from that perspective, you know, the playing part was awesome, and the fans and the interaction was awesome. And you know, to go on that run and to get the type of support and hear what that building could do was, you know, I still think it's probably the loudest building I've been in.
Yeah.
So it's just from that perspective, the, you know, hockey side and, you know, how I was treated. You know, I was treated first class.
So at the end, and I remember talking to a few of your teammates who, you know, later that summer were amazed because, you know, obviously at the time, you know, there's lots of rumors that, you know, were false. I actually knew Christy Chorley. She's a friend of mine. So I knew that was a bogus rumor. That, you know, a lot of that stuff was going on, Chris, while you're trying to focus. And a few of your teammates like, I don't know how he's focusing with all that other kind of white noise. How was that a challenge? And when that stuff came out, was that when the decision was made? Like, I'm sorry, but we're not staying.
No, it was, you know, I think with all the stuff kind of going on, the rink was my sanctuary. You know,
Okay.
That's where I could go block things out and just immerse myself in the locker room with the guys and the training staff, et cetera, you know, and go to work. You know, that it's the other, it's away from the rink. That's, you know, there's a lot of dead time and a lot of noise in that part of it. But I love going to the rink. You know, I loved playing with the team. Like it was a fun team to play on. You know, our style of play and the way that we and the support we got was awesome.
Now, you had obviously been traded before, of course. Early in your career, you went from Hartford to St. Louis, then you went from St. Louis to Edmonton. So getting traded wasn't new to you, but was this one and just kind of how you had to approach it different after the season ended?
Well, it was new to me in the sense that I had a wife and 2 kids, though. You know, when you get traded and you're single, it's pretty easy. There's not a whole lot to do. You know, when you're lugging family around, it's a little bit different. But no, it just, you know, as things progressed, you know, that's the hardest part is you know you're going to break people's heart. You know you're going to hurt your teammates. You know you're going to do all this stuff when you're asking for a trade, but you still have a job to do. And you have to leave it all out there and you have to play to the best of your abilities. And, you know, as I said, going to the rink, that was the time to block all that noise out and just leave it all out there and have fun and hopefully entertain and hopefully win a lot of hockey games. And, you know, outside of that's the easy part. The hard part is the business side.
Chris Pronger joins us here on the show. Of course, his new book, autobiography, really kind of tells all about his life, not just in hockey, but also
not an autobiography, Jason. It's not an autobiography. That's not an autobiography.
But funny you say that, but it really is though, because it's about you, right? And it's about like
I liken it to part memoir, part life lessons.
Yeah. Oh, okay, and that's fair. Yeah,
there's some pieces in there of but the whole thing is not an autobiography.
Yeah,
there's a lot of moments of hopefully teaching people and showing them kind of what I've learned over my years.
Yeah, the leadership stuff and what you've learned. So it's not just a hockey book for our audience out there. It's not just about puck and stick and doing that. It's obviously a big part because that's That's how it became like the Chris Pronger that hockey fans know, obviously was from hockey. And so you leave Edmonton, you go to Anaheim, and it's a trade that obviously worked out perfect for you because you guys won the Stanley Cup, and you played with a lot of really great players in your career.
Yeah.
But I don't know was Scott Niedermayer the best defenseman you played with?
He's got it, for that tenure of time. Absolutely.
Yes. Like I said, not in an all-star game or Olympics or anything.
That amount of time, him and Al were the two best that I played with on a consistent basis, and just how simple Scotty made the game, how smooth he was on the ice, and just effortless skater, yet highly competitive. I don't think he gets enough credit for how hard he competed defensively with how smooth he was on his skates. And, he played a pretty gritty game.
Was it because in Philadelphia and in Edmonton, you were the clear number one guy, Hall of Fame player, number one defenseman? In Anaheim, there was two of you, which is probably a big reason why you won the cup when you have, two Hall of Fame defensemen, number one defenseman. Was it easier to play when you've got another guy, or does that change it at all for you?
I don't think it made it easier. I think you have certain matchups that are better for certain people, depending upon who you're playing and what type of makeup of their roster. Him and Bosch would play against either the top line, or me and Sean O'Donnell would play against the top line. So we just kind of varied around. It takes a little bit of the load off, in the sense that, they can go out normally on the PK. You're going to go out right away. They would go out, or vice versa. We would go out and they would catch their breath. A lot of times when you got, one designated top end pair, they're doing the heavy lifting all the time. And so, we played 4D a lot. We kind of parsed in that third pair. We might get the fifth guy in a little bit, and then the sixth guy would play very little, which is hard too. It's hard on them to sit there cold and then be expected to go play at a high level with very limited time. So that's a balancing act of keeping us out there, but also getting them involved.
Chris Pronger joins us, author of the book Earn, came out today. You can get it online or in stores. And so, Chris, your career, obviously you win a cup, and I'm assuming winning that cup because, you lost other cups. And it's funny, talk to guys who won a cup and they'll think about the ones they lost more than they think about the one they won,
100%,
which is kind of crazy. But, Philly and Edmonton, both great runs. You were an integral part of both of them. Was one tougher because it was game 7? Is that harder? Like, you look back, are they both just brutal for different reasons?
Both are hard, but Edmonton was harder. Number one, it was the first time I got there.
Okay.
And secondly, it was right there. You're in a game 7. It's there. It's in front of you. You win that game, you win. And, we had ample opportunity in that game to score and to either get back in it or try to take a lead. And, it just fell a little short. I don't really count the empty net goal. We lost a 2-1 game, and it could have went either way. Regardless, we didn't play terrible. And I wouldn't say they wanted it more. We just fell a little short. And, to your point about the ones that haunt you, that one, anytime people bring that one up, that's a tough one to take, because I personally believe we were the better team.
Yeah. Well, the game 1 loss is probably the one that stings the most.
Correct. When you're winning 3-0 late in the second period, you've got to win that game.
Yeah. And Philly was unexpected. Like, you guys made the playoffs in the last day of the season in the shootout, and then you go in and you run through it. And you'd already won before. So because for great players, I know there's lots of internal expectations. God, I got to have a cup. And I'm not even sure it's necessarily fair, because I'm a big believer that teams win cups. And you can be a great player and do everything you want, but even you, you're playing half the game. So there's a half a game where there's nothing you can do. So, but having won, and then you go to Philly and it was so unexpected, what was the biggest surprise of that 2010 run for you?
I think it's the depth that we had that ultimately showcased itself in the playoffs. We were a very roller coaster team during the season, trying to find ourselves, trying to find chemistry on lines. You look at Ville Lino, nobody knew who Ville Lino was, picked him up from Detroit. He was healthy scratch in Detroit. We get him. we healthy scratched him for like 3 or 4 games. And then they, Labby slowly started putting him in the lineup. And then we get into the playoffs and he's an integral part of our second line and scored some huge goals for us. And so I think you think back on some of these, it's the opportunity that guys take advantage of in those moments that help, make their career and get them opportunities elsewhere, which he certainly did with that playoff run.
So you've obviously had great success. You won Olympics, you won the Stanley Cup, All-Star games. You're a Hart Trophy winner, Norris Trophy winner. So you had a lot of success personally. You also had to endure a lot of things. Like a young guy in Hartford, you're a top pick. I can't remember what year it was. You got booed by their home crowd. I don't know if that happened before or after. Obviously being booed lots by opposing crowds. Yeah. And I think players take that as a badge of honor. They're kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, it's almost like they like me because or they respect me, I should say.
Yeah. They appreciate your job.
Yeah. They hate you, but they respect you in a weird way.
Yeah.
But how difficult was it as a young guy? I think you were 19 when they were booing you. And you mentioned kind of like, you're not naturally like a really overt out there guy. So how hard was that to take? And what did you learn from that about yourself?
It was tough. I wouldn't recommend people go out and do that on a year-to-year basis, get booed on home ice. As you said, it's great to be booed on the road. That means you are doing your job properly. But I learned a lot about myself, just how to respond. It took some time, obviously very young, very immature, maybe very naive about expectations and pressure and where you're selected, what your contract looks like, all the rest of that. Probably didn't understand the magnitude of kind of what was going on with respect, understanding people's jobs are on the line, head coaches, GMs, trainers, teammates. You're happy to be in the league and you don't realize that that's not enough. And you need to perform and play at a high level. That's the expectation. And then when you start getting booed, it only exacerbates it and pushes you into a deeper, darker hole. And it's hard to claw your way out, and made plenty of mistakes that first year and plenty of mistakes in that second year. And then get traded. And then the third year happens and I get booed again on a different home ice surface. And, things are unraveling quickly and falling apart. And to your point, we started to drink heavily after games to kind of take the pain away a little bit, or the feeling of the desperation and the uneasiness, sadness of what was kind of transpiring around me. And then ultimately, you come to a realization that you're the only one that can get yourself out of it. And had a conversation with a sports psychologist who challenged me with standards, and I didn't have any, so I created some. And ultimately, when you're going through those moments, you have to have something to lean back on. You have to utilize the assets that you have. Obviously, I had some talent, but that wasn't going to be enough. I had at that point, a weak mindset. Very much a victimhood mentality. It was always somebody else's fault. It was always the fans' fault for booing. It was my teammates' fault for pinching. It was the referee's fault for giving me a penalty. It was everybody's fault except my own. And, I think that's where I kind of grew up in dealing with all of that notoriety and pressure and expectation. And ultimately, I think that's where I kind of grew up and said, all right, time to be a man and accept the blame and expect the responsibility and take ownership of your career and figure out, if this is how good you want to be, then how do you get there? How dedicated are you going to be? What are you willing to sacrifice on a Friday or Saturday night? All the rest of that. And so as the rest of that season went on, that was about game 50 or so, was already kind of climbing my way out of the abyss. And then, kind of set standards and started doing things the right way and really showing up with a purpose and showing up every single day with a purpose. And ultimately started to see some improvements in my game. And then we got number 99, and that kind of diverted everybody's attention. And I could kind of go off and really kind of fix myself and fix my game and become the player that I wanted to be.
Chris Pronger joins us, author of his book, Earned, just came out today. So it's available. You can get it online anywhere, of course, in stores. Now, you mentioned standards, Chris. Did you write them down? What became your standard after that talk with the sports psychologist?
Yeah, I did. I left there, went home, had dinner, and sat down and wrote 3 standards, and they're very simple. I still live by them today. The first one, I needed to be the hardest worker in the room. It's one thing to have talent, but to have talent plus and utilize it to the best of your ability, you need to be the hardest worker in the room. If I wanted to be the hardest worker, I needed to fuel myself accordingly and really commit myself to health and fitness. And then third, I needed to get rid of the victimhood mentality. I needed a stronger mindset. I needed to look at things in a different light and really, not worry, not sweat the small stuff and just be focused on accepting, my lot in life, my course in life. And if I put the time in, I put the effort in, put all that hard work into my craft, good things are going to come because I have the talent. I have the ability. I just have to harness it in the right way.
The last one, I'm guessing, of those 3 had to be the hardest, right? Like learning how to eat healthy, that's sure. Okay, I'll do it. Working hard, you can go out there, bury your head and work, but changing your mindset isn't just hard. It's hard. So how did you take the steps to do that?
Yeah, a process. First it's confidence. You might walk around thinking you're good, but you're not confident you're good. You have that expectation. You get drafted a certain place. You're playing a certain number of minutes. All the rest of that, you can track some of that stuff, but ultimately it's up here, and it literally it's a process. It takes time. It's one foot in front of the other. It is buying into your standards. It's showing up every single day. It's understanding they're non-negotiables. And with that comes the confidence that you're doing things the right way. And then it's not worrying about the outside noise, the distraction, the booing and all the rest of it. After going through all that, I could tell you nothing phases me. Nothing. Like it just, when I would get booed on the opposition's ice, I'd just be like, bring it. This is awesome. I love it. And, on the other hand, when it's on home ice, it's not too good.
Yeah.
It can be very defeating and be something that can be debilitating. And so as I started to improve, your confidence gains a little bit, but really it's about your daily actions every single day from a mindset perspective. It just becomes more hardened every single day. You show up for yourself. You show up and are accountable for what you're doing to get better and how hard you're going to work. And then with that builds that callus and that strength that you need every single day. And having gone through those tough moments, the grit and resilience that you've created gives you that the wherewithal to withstand some of the pressure that you're going to face later on.
Chris, it's great. I want to continue that. We got to take a really short break. I want to continue on with that because there's also some, I read some more in the book here that I want to touch on a little bit about that. And I do have to ask you about the Norris Trophy for this year because as a defenseman, I want to get your thoughts on that when we return. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
For the first time in 66 years, Golden Bears and Pandas hockey are on the move. During the 2026-27 Canada West season, 2 of the most successful hockey programs in U Sports history will call Silent Ice Center in Nisku their temporary home. The Golden Bears and Pandas are excited to connect with the South Edmonton community and welcome new fans to experience the tradition and excitement of U of A hockey. Same tradition, new temporary home. Golden Bears and Pandas hockey at Silent Ice Center for the 26-27 season.
Legacy Heating and Cooling offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. So when you wake up to no heat, call Legacy. Call Legacy. If you need it immediately with no overtime rates. Call Legacy. If you need it immediately and want to combo it with AC. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. No payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. It could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Booster Juice is going crazy for hazelnuts.
No, not crazy. Nuts.
Booster Juice is going bananas for hazelnuts.
I mean, there are bananas in smoothies, but that's not the point.
Banana juice is booster for hazelnuts.
What? Just stop.
Booster Juice is going nuts for hazelnut. Introducing the Nutty Monkey Smoothie, Holy Hazelnut Acai Bowl, and Nutty Booster Ball, all made with rich, creamy hazelnut spread. Try them today, only at Booster Juice. Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Spring into savings at The Brick. Refresh your home with huge discounts. Save up to $1,800 on sofas and sectionals. And buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game and save up to 40% off select mattresses and score free delivery when you use your Flexity card. Plus, save 15% when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, proudly Canadian since 1971.
Portions of this hour brought to you by UL, helping you finish your electrical project is their goal. From pot lights to electrical panels, the gear you need is at ul.ca or in person at one of their Edmonton area locations. ul.ca, your partners in power.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Good 33, welcome back. It is the Gregor Show presented by playalberta.ca. Our special guest today, author of the book Earned, The True Cost of Greatness from one of hockey's fiercest competitors, Chris Pronger, is with us. And of course, Chris, it's interesting. It talks about even in the write-up of your book, one of the most dominant and controversial.
Apparently.
Yeah. So even your own write-up group's like, hey,
Hey,
and that's interesting because, and we talked about it off the top, how, maybe early on there was a little bit of cockiness and edge. Some people may perceive it as arrogance, and then then it's confidence. And you were never really, hey, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. People might not always like it, but here we go. Was part of that when you talked about, okay, I got to work hard. I got to eat well. And then I got to get rid of my victimhood mentality. Was part of getting rid of the victimhood mentality, owning up to your things, but also standing up for yourself? Because sometimes a lot of people were afraid to stand up for ourselves because it's going to rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, and and that's part of blocking out the noise. Like, don't be so worried about what other people think. Like, frankly, it doesn't matter. What matters are the people close to you and you personally. And are you doing enough? If we're talking about sports, are you doing enough to be successful and lead your team and play at a high level? If you're in business, are you a leader that is bringing the group up and bringing everybody along? If you're at home, same thing. So it just, I don't put a whole lot of stock in what other people think after having gone through all that stuff early in my career. I'm not too worried about the noise.
When did you mentioned how still wasn't natural to you to be a public speaker, but it's something that you've done a lot of.
Yep.
How did you decide to go down that path? Was it just a new way to challenge yourself?
Partly. I have a friend of mine here in St. Louis is a well-respected and very, very good, not only public speaker, but performance coach. And I had dinner with him one night, and, it was early days of trying to figure out, what kind of impact I wanted to have. What did I really want to do? And, he just pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you need to do this. You got such a good story. You got so many things that you've done and experiences that you've had. There's a lot that people can learn from you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm looking at a guy that he knew. And I'm like, yeah, but this guy here, he's awesome at it. He goes, yeah, he's awesome at it, but he never did it. You did it, and you can go talk about it and help people, level up and be difference makers and all the rest of it. And, I kind of sat with it for a minute. I'd been asked to do a lot of different talks over the years, and I would maybe do one a year, and, it didn't really have structure to it. You tell a bunch of stories and you have fun and all the rest of that, but people leave and they had a laugh, but what can they implement in their lives that can help them live a better life? And so, as I started working with him and building out this speaking platform and my speeches, just trying to figure out, what do I know? What am I a subject matter expert in? As we talk about all the mistakes I've made and all the things that I've done, what am I a subject matter expert in? Where can I help people level up, and where can I help people get to that next level? And so that was kind of the formation of the platform. And then it was a matter of digging into my life experiences and some of the stories that I've been a part of. And then that created the framework for the book. And, you add in a few, youth hockey moments and a lot of forks in the road where, I tell my kids all the time, we don't play the what if game. Well, what if I went and did this? And, if you play the what if game, everything else changes. So right. I've had people ask me, well, what if you just didn't go to Edmonton? I'm like, but then everything else doesn't happen. If I don't go there, I don't have the experience. I don't have a great experience. And I'm one win away from from winning a Stanley Cup. And then I'm not going to Anaheim and I'm not going to Philly. Everything changes after that. And it's no different than early in my career. What if I would have caved to the pressure and quit and said, I can't take this. It's killing me. What would I be doing now? And so there's all these moments of, playing the what if game, and, our feet are moving forward for a reason. Our eyes are pointing forward for a reason. We move in that direction for a reason. Why are we always looking backwards? And so I try to walk them through that exercise of, what that really means. Like, be present, remember what you did, learn from those experiences, but you're going in this direction. Be present and think about what you're going to be doing in the future, and work towards that so that you're constantly evolving and growing and getting better.
Quickly, as a guy who's won the Norris, the last team to win the Hart, the Norris Trophy race this year, there's lots of really good contenders. I don't think there's an obvious one. Werenski, Bouchard, Lane Hudson's had a great year. Cale Makar is obviously very good. Rasmus Dahlin, Mo Seider, etc. It's interesting, Chris. I've seen a lot of people talk, it shouldn't just be about offensive points, but I'm like, but here's the truth. And no offense to a lot of people who say they're the ones who can't produce offense, but I look at today's NHL, and even when you played, the best defenseman, because I just wrote an article about the history of the Norris Trophy, and it's always gone, except Rod Langway, and I'll never understand how he won. But anyway, every other year, it's guys who play 25, 30 minutes a night, they produce points, and they're lots of minutes 5-on-5, maybe a little bit on the penalty kill. Me personally, I wouldn't want my best defenseman blocking shots all day. I don't love that idea. But where do you come out on it? Are people undermining how hard it is to be a good offensive player and still play all the minutes? Because nowadays, the best play against the best, right? Like, there's no third-line checkers that go out there against Connor McDavid on a shift-by-shift basis.
Yeah, I think you still have to have points. It doesn't necessarily mean the guy who has the most wins.
Right.
But, I think we've run into that a few times. And while it's not part of the criteria, I do think you have to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Personally. Okay. I think that's always been part of it. At the year Carlson won in San Jose, they missed, and he had 100 points. So I think people were they felt like they had to vote for him, I think. But for me, I think that's still criteria. I think you have to be in the playoffs. I think if you're that good, you should be able to get your team into the playoffs. So if I'm going by that criteria, that doesn't eliminate Werenski from my list, but it moves him off. He's not going to be one.
Okay.
In my opinion, as I look at it, I think how you defend, meaning are you a detriment out there? Are you average? Are you good? Like, where are you on that scale? Are you excellent? Where are you on that defense scale with respect to being in the D zone, and how effective are you? How do you turn pucks over? Playing defense is all about trying to get the offense. Yeah. You want to get stops quickly and then get on the transition and kickstart your offense, and then support the attack and all the rest of that. So, there's a few guys that obviously that speaks to a lot, Bouchard, Makar, Dahlin, Lane Hudson, there's Mo Seider is probably the most physical of the guys that would be on the list. Charlie McAvoy is having a very good offensive season. When I look at these numbers, I had 62 points the year I won the Hart and the Norris.
Yeah.
And that's what Seider's got, I think 60, and McAvoy has 61 maybe, or something like that. So they out beside, I don't know if they played last night, but so it plays a factor, but I think there's more nuance to it than just he's got the most points.
Yeah.
It's a combination of all of it.
Yeah. When you had 62, though, you were only 8 points behind the leader, right? Like,
correct.
The defense
was it Lidstrom? I think had 70.
Yeah. Lidstrom had, I think, 70. So it was close, right? Like 7, 8 points, whatever that. But if a guy's 30 points more, well, now, because I always, when you talk about are you detriment defending, I'm like, okay, like to me, that's why goals for, goals against 5-on-5 is a big one, because are you giving up? Are you producing more than you're giving up? And like if you give up 50 goals, but you're on for 85,
that sounds like plus minus to me, Jason.
Yeah, it does. But the difference in plus minus is it takes away the empty net goals, which, because of course, if you're an offensive defenseman, guess what? Your team's trailing
out there
on the ice and you give up a few easy goals. It's like, well, that kills my, and that's actually why Carlson, the year he won, he was actually even at 5-on-5 on the team was minus 70 when he was off the ice. So he obviously was doing something all right. Right.
Yes.
So it's a pretty good number. Lastly, a lot of people want me to, and I've wanted to ask you this. You've been around a long time. We've seen lots of guys get into management in hockey. Do you have aspirations to be a GM, something like that down the road?
I'm not pining for it. I think if the right opportunity presented itself, I would have a conversation and see what the opportunity looked like. I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now. I'm enjoying the public speaking. It's a challenge, as we've talked about. TV, the broadcasting has been a lot of fun. It's really allowed me to get a really good overarching view of the NHL and kind of the landscape and where all these teams are at, and top teams, bottom teams, middle, the tweener teams, and then obviously the book. And I'm not going to sit here and say no. I would say no to anything or everything, but it would take something pretty special for me to want to stop what I'm doing.
Okay. Give me one good teaser from the book, a little teaser of a story that maybe hasn't been talked about publicly that people would be interested in.
Well, he's a Western guy, Brad McCrimmon.
Okay.
He's a Western guy. I think especially in this era in the NHL with how young these teams are getting, I think mentors are incredibly important. And, I roomed with him for 2 years. I ate every meal with him for 2 years. I played with him for 2 years. I sat next to him for 2 years. And what those types of players mean to a young defenseman, a young player in the National Hockey League, is invaluable. And every time I hear a team going through a rebuild, but they have to play at a certain level where the player's not looking down on them like you're past your prime. They have to be a valuable part of the team. And when you have guys like that, I think that's when young players find the most success. And he did, for me, a huge service. And, I'm young. I think I know it all. I think I got it all figured out. And to his credit, he kept teaching, he kept pushing, he kept like, you're going to figure this out one day, kid. You're going to get it. And, the full circle moment happens where I, play with him my game number 1, and then he's assistant coach for the Red Wings in game number 1,000. Yeah. And, the interaction I had with him afterwards and just the conversation was, very special in the fact that I was now rolling over into the mentor side and doing what he did all those years later. And just to see, I think how proud he was of where I'd gotten to from those early days, where it was maybe not always certain that I was going to figure it out and get it and have that light bulb moment. When somebody that means that much to you is that proud of you, it's pretty special.
Yeah, that very much is. And Chris, congratulations on the book. And I know it's a lot of hard work. Also, it's always good to talk to you. I always have a few chuckles. Still probably one of the greatest bumpers ever had on the show was when we got you to do the human rake bumper back on. That's my favorite. There's a lot of listeners like, you'd never tell Pronger that nickname to himself. Like, what are you talking about? I think it's a great nickname. And that's right up there. You and Stecker really laughed because I called him the shin pad assassin there for a while because, God, every shot was getting blocked. You guys loved your nickname. Eric Belanger, he didn't like the Belanger triangle very much.
No, I wouldn't think so. Not that one.
Congrats on the book. And
thank you.
Look forward to who do you like going into the playoffs? Because I know you'll be on the playoffs.
Oh, man. I think it's tight. I do think I think it's going to come out of the West this year. I think the East is going to, in what has happened in the West the last number of years, they've beaten each other up, and the winner of the East has come on. I think the East is going to beat each other up, and whoever comes out of the West is going to win.
All right. Great stuff, Chris. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Take care.
That is, Chris Pronger, former NHLer, Hall of Famer, and of course, the author of his new book, Earned: The True Cost of Greatness from one of hockey's fiercest competitors. Available in stores and online today. Check it out. I see right now on Amazon. Get a little special rebate, 20% off. So check it out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick, and we know trucks. And we have the best deals of the year right now. Some have 0% for 4 years. We have 0% for 6 years. That's on our #1 selling GMC Sierra half-ton crew cab, or the Elevation, the AT4, or Denali. Yep, 0% for 72 months. And Costco members get an extra discount on some of our SUVs. Pop in today and drive away smiling. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Hi, I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. We've been tightening bolts and redefining our industry for 25 years. Yes, a quarter century, and we're just getting started. Check us out at cantork.com. Our tools age better than I do.
On the rocks, the party never stops.
Check it out.
Mondays, bingo tune.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best Latin DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Jeff Brab and 118th.
Don't miss a moment of Blue Jays baseball this season. Join play-by-play announcer Ben Shulman for the games live on Sports 1440. The Toronto Blue Jays are on Edmonton's home for all things sports. Sports 1440.
What if you could hire motivated, safety-trained youth with no risk and funding to support you? At Careers the Next Generation, we make hiring easy with funded internships across Alberta in trades, IT, forestry, and more. Interns are WCB covered, complete high school accredited safety trained, and arrive ready to contribute from day one. With 42% of RAP students completing their apprenticeship by age 22, you get skilled workers faster. Spots are filling up. Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fan. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
There's nothing like a spring sunset by the lake. Oh, wait, that's a pothole. And that was a new truck.
Oh, what the
Springtime in Edmonton also means project time with help from Metal Supermarkets. Huge inventory cut to your precise requirements, plus metal bending, drilling, punching, notching, plasma cutting, welding, even delivery. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com. Charging down the baseline for home plate or gliding down a lakeside park trail on two wheels. Spring's the time to save at St. Albert's Source for Sports. You'll find everything baseball, from cleats and bats to gloves and much more. And you'll get incredible spring savings on bikes from Specialized, plus a great selection of e-bikes, along with advice and full service from the pros. St. Albert's Source for Sports, your source for baseball, bikes, and a whole lot more for over 35 years.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.254. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Text line is humming 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. The Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tonight, the game that matters most for Oilers fans, the Vegas Golden Knights. If Vegas gets a point, they will secure first place. If they lose in regulation, then the Oilers have a chance to win the division for the first time since 1987. So, could it happen? Sure. Guess what else happened in 1987? That was the last time only one goalie in the NHL started 60 games or more. Ron Hextall, 1987, the only goalie who did it. This year, Karel Vejmelka, the only goalie to do it. So maybe Oilers fans, just maybe, two things that haven't happened since 87 will happen this year in the NHL. You'll see. You'll need some help tonight. The Seattle Kraken in their final game of the season on the road in Vegas. Can they get motivated to pull off the upset? We shall see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Got a lot of texts coming in here. Greg's a great interview. Wish he could come here as an advisor from Ranger Nick. Hey, guys, I won't buy the book. I won't look at his book. I'm not putting a plug nickel in a Pronger's pocket. I'll believe Kevin Lowe over Chris Pronger. Guys, I think some Oilers fans and the organization need to get over it. It was over 20 years ago. It's like they're jilted lovers. Move on. Whatever the reasons were, it doesn't matter. Now, enjoyed the interview. Hey, Gregor, great interview with Chris. I think he and his crew represent the last time the Oilers were hard to play against. Great conversation from Dave at Whitetail. Hey, guys, really enjoyed that interview with Pronger. Don't really care to revisit 2006, but it's good to hear that players are hurting about it just as much as I'm a fan. I don't think I'll ever get over it. I can understand that, right? Like, you're a fan, you're invested. And sadly, like Oilers fans of a certain age who were old enough to remember 06, you also experienced 24. And you're right there. It's one game. And as Chris Pronger said, like, you're right there. You think you can win. And you know what? Basically, it was a 2-1 game. I know they gave up an empty net goal in 2006, but it was a 2-1 game against the Panthers as well. So those are tough losses. So, hey, Gregor, didn't Grant Fuhr play 79 games in St. Louis? Yeah, Cat Dad, I said only one goalie. Yes, Fuhr, lots of guys. That's my point. Lots of guys since 1987. There's years where you had 10, 12, 14 guys starting 60-plus games a year. Only one did it this year, similar to 1987. That was the last time only one player had ever did it. When the NHL expanded to 60 games back in 1947, from 1947 until now, there's only been 2 years, 1973, 1984, where no goalie started 60 games. And there's only been a handful this year, 87, 86, 85, 74, and one other year where one goalie did it. Lots of other, like if you look at the trends into the 90s and early 2000s, you had like 10, 11, sometimes 12 goalies playing 60-plus games a year. But now the trend has changed. And this year, it's the lowest we've seen with goalies starting 60 games since 1987. That's my point. Like, it's now, is it a one-off? I know some people say, well, Gregor, the Olympics. Well, there was the Olympics in 2010. There was Olympics in 2014. Didn't change anything. They still played lots of games. So I don't really buy it's because of the Olympics this year, because you had Olympics in other years, and it didn't change then either. So, hey, Greg, so I think most people know a big reason why Chris left town. I applaud Kevin Lowe, JP. Well, do you, JP? Well, I can tell you that rumor is really, because I know the reporter. Chrissy, I can tell you that's a fabricated 100% false story. But people 20 years ago, I've told them to their, no, I heard, well, who'd you hear it from? Because I tell you that didn't happen. Might have been with someone else. I'll never know, but I'm not going to speculate. All I know is that was 100,000% false. 100% false. So there you go. Quick break. We'll get back on track coming up in the next hour. We got some stats of the day. We'll get to Yaremchuk, business support with Ritch Winters coming up. Spec, Andrew Nolan, more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Go Auto, where if you need a vehicle, they got you covered. New, used, they got them both. Over 15,000 vehicles to choose from at 71 locations. Find one near you, goauto.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Second last day of the regular season in the NHL. You got the Stars and the Sabres. Rangers head to Tampa. Panthers up against the Wings. Maple Leafs in Sens. Sharks take on the Blackhawks. And the Golden Knights are going to wrap up the Pacific Division with a win as they take on the Kraken just after 8 o'clock. In the association, more playing games. Sixers and Magic from Philly at 5:30. And at 8 o'clock, the Clippers taking on the Warriors. Major League Baseball. Jays will try to make it 2 straight against the Brewers when they meet just after 5:40. We'll join that game in progress here on our AM feed only. Elsewhere, Cubs, Phillies, Tigers hosting the Royals. And Nationals take on the Pirates. Angels and Yankees. White Sox raise the Mariners in San Diego once again. Earlier today, Diamondbacks get past the Orioles 8-5. Cards over the Guardians 5-3. And the Twins falling at home to the Red Sox 9-5. PWHL today has Toronto in New York. Boston hosting Minnesota. Both games starting just after 5 o'clock. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll get to the stat of the day, ask 5 questions, and be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, healing doesn't have to feel heavy, because in our SwimX aquatic therapy pools, you literally float your way to recovery. Whether you're dealing with arthritis, back pain, joint injuries, post-surgical rehab, chronic pain, balance issues, mobility challenges, or just feeling a little creaky, warm water and gentle resistance have your back, your knees, and your hips. Trusted by pro sports teams and rehab hospitals, our SwimX pools help you move sooner, hurt less, and recover faster. So take the load off. Let the water do the work. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Would you like to be a part of history for the month of April? I'm kidding. Or as the kids say, bro, I'm joking. Would you like to help us set a record in April? Chill. Still kidding. At Northgate, we aren't trying to set any records or tell you how many vehicles we sell, and we really don't think you'd care. But what you will care about is this. Every dealer has the same costs. Trust me. GM does not have a favorite kid. You get to decide where you buy. 0% financing, a great selection, and of course, great people. Stop in and see us today. 13215 97th Street or business online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
And now Action Electrical's testing team is on defense duty. They're the guardians of safety and compliance, a critical part of any lineup.
Precisely. They perform rigorous safety and code compliance testing for commercial operations. Think of them as the referees, ensuring everything is up to standard before disaster strikes.
Their preventative plays are legendary, spotting faults early. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Smart, connected, community driven. Jason Gregor sets the standard for sports talk in Edmonton. Join the conversation on Sports 1440. Text Gregor 833-401-1440. Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember couch all day and order oodle-noodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half
A
of the season,
wicked
but now
Wednesday
more and more fans are rocking
afternoon.
the Wilhock beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a
CA
Will
or
Hockey
special-
game day with Wilhock beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win games with salad.
Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports
The
1440.
job isn't done
Sports
until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Gearing up for the playoffs at Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge. The best place to catch every second of the action. Not a bad seat in the house, tons of big screens, and a menu with something for all you hungry hockey fans. Plus, game night food and drink features and Oilers watch parties. So, catch the final regular season battles. Then every playoff face-off at Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge at all 3
Hall of
Century
Famer
Casino
versus
locations.
online.
Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century
Check it out.
Mall.
See right a little special
Sports Bar and Lounge.
new book. There you go. That is
Backshot concrete products.
All right, thanks, Jason.
From concrete and septic tanks to blocks, precast water pads, Jersey barriers and aggregates.
And we're going to start the show
Farmers,
today.
Contractors, homeowners. Plan your next project at BashotConcrete.com. Family owned, over 60 years pouring. Bashot Concrete products. Once again, start here. BashotConcrete.com.
From the first face-off to the final, Sports 1440 is your home for hockey talk with live coverage, expert analysis, and pre- and post-game shows. We bring you closer to the game. Tune in 24/7 only on Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports station.
Great news for your weekend project. CFI, that's Custom Floors Inc., is now open 6 days a week with Saturday hours from 10 till 2. Get top quality Canadian products from Beaulieu with the convenience you need. For your free estimate, visit CFI at customfloorsinc.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product, incredible customer services for all your residential needs. Visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
After 3 o'clock, welcome back. It is the Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. The show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in. The gold ball jackpot tonight is $28 million. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Also, while you're there, you can check out the Jason Gregor Show daily specials. We have a little NHL for you tonight. Also some MLB and NBA. Should be a good pitching duel between the Jays and the Brewers. They scored 16 runs last night. The Jays 9 runs. It's like a week for them lately. So that was a big game. We'll see if it gets their bats going offensively. Meanwhile, you got 2 games. Clippers, I like them a lot. And I'm gonna go with Orlando. A little bit of an upset maybe, but I'll take Orlando. You can check those out at PlayAlberta.ca. We got lots more texts flying in. 833-401-1440, 40. Hey, guys, I'm going to buy Pronger's book. You don't have to like somebody to read stories about hockey. I like him as a credible D-man. Great interview. Love how you always ask tough questions. Thanks from Zads. Appreciate that. I don't know if anything I asked was overly tough. Like, obviously, we had to address, what went on and the rumors at that time. And then also with the, with what Kevin Lowe had posted yesterday. And that's fine. As Chris said, he changed his mindset after. And I love it. Like, I think that is great advice for a lot of people, is getting rid of the victimhood. I'm the victim. It's my coworker's fault. Oh, it's the teacher's fault. Oh, it's my spouse's fault. Can always be everybody else's fault. And he was like, man, I gotta change my mindset. And the onus is on me. If I want to have success, then the onus is going to be on me. And it's a great way to look at it. Great way to look at it. We're going to get to our stats of the day, because there's lots of stats to get to today on the show. So let's get to it right now. Let's go to our stats of the day, brought to you by All Star Construction, specializing in underground utilities, power, gas, telecommunication, and street lighting. They also do directional drilling and hydrovacking. That is All Star Construction. And so the key stats for you: the Pacific Division. If Vegas gets a point tonight, they clinch first place in the division. If the Oilers win tomorrow, regardless, just win. Doesn't mean it could be overtime, shootout, regulation, doesn't matter. If they win, they are guaranteed to at least be second. Now, if Vegas loses in regulation tonight to Seattle, which, let's be honest, would be an upset by Seattle. If the Golden Knights lose, though, then an Oilers victory tomorrow would put them into first place. An Oilers win will guarantee them at least second place. A tie, or sorry, not a tie, but a point guarantees them second place. If the Oilers lose and both Anaheim and Los Angeles win in any form, the Oilers are the second wildcard team, and they go to Colorado and would start on Sunday. The Avalanche, the Nuggets are playing Saturday afternoon, 1:30 in Colorado. I doubt they're going to turn around to play late that night. Possible, yes. I don't see why you would. So I think the Avs are going to open up at home. Well, the Avs can't play Saturday anyway because they're playing Thursday. The NHL has never asked a team yet to start the playoffs 2 days after they finish the regular season. So Utah, Colorado, Edmonton, Anaheim, LA, they're all playing on Thursday. I don't see any of those teams playing on Saturday. But the Oilers, Ottawa, and Carolina, according to Bruce Garriott, they're going to start on Saturday. The Penguins and the Flyers, they're both done. They finished last night. I think they're going to start on Saturday. Dallas and Minnesota, most likely starts on Saturday. I think Sportsnet would like Montreal and Tampa to start, but if Tampa wins and finishes in second, because they have the tiebreaker, right? So if they win, they get second. They have a concert in Tampa Bay on Saturday night. Now, teams have moved to concerts before, but this would be pretty late to move it. So I'm thinking the NHL is just going to say, okay, Tampa Bay, Montreal plays Sunday. Now, you could play the Oilers later on Sunday night, but I won't be shocked if the Oilers start on Monday, unless they're the 8th seed. Then they're going to have to play Sunday in Colorado. But if the Oilers aren't the 8th seed and they're first, second, or third, because they still could finish third if they lose and in regulation, and one of Anaheim or LA wins, then the Oilers would be third, and they'd start on the road. And, we'll kind of go from there. But Anaheim, LA, they don't have any, I was looking, they don't seem to have any scheduling conflicts, so they could play kind of whenever. Vegas has Monday Night Raw coming up on Monday, so I would expect Vegas at home to start on Sunday as well. Now, Vegas ends tonight, so there's a chance, but they're playing Utah if they finish first, or they play Edmonton, Anaheim, or LA. So Vegas, I believe, is going to start as well on Sunday. The only West teams that I think are going to start on Saturday will be Dallas and Minnesota. So it just makes sense that way. Some other numbers. Connor McDavid could win his 6th Art Ross Trophy tonight because Nikita Kucherov, Tampa Bay is playing their final game. Kucherov needs 5 points to move ahead of McDavid. 4 points only puts him in, unless it's 4 goals. A 4-point game would only put him into a tie. So he needs 5 points tonight. Pretty low chance. Nathan McKinnon sounds like probably not going to play in the final game for Colorado. That's what their coach insinuated the other day. So plus he would need 7 points just to tie McDavid. So that's unlikely. So McDavid all but has clinched his 6th Art Ross. That'll move him into a tie with Gordie Howe and Mario Lemieux for second most in NHL history, trailing only Wayne Gretzky at 10. Do I think McDavid has one other Art Ross at least? I do. Maybe multiples. 4, that might be a reach, but one more for sure. I think he's probably eventually going to be second all time in Art Ross trophies. I mentioned the goalie stat. I think it's unique that Vejmelka is the only goalie this year who's going to start over 60 games. Now, I know some said, well, Gregor, maybe there's not enough good goalies. Well, Andrei Vasilevsky, Sorokin, you telling me they're not good enough? Like, Sorokin's unreal, man. Logan Thompson had a great year. I think there's enough good goalies still. Jeremy Swayman had a fantastic season. People are just going to have to change kind of how they view the goaltending position, because a lot of people view save percentage. Well, how the NHL is tracking shots now significantly alters. If you want to look at our goalies better or worse, right? So, because it's a fair question if you're looking at it, because you're like, wow, how many goalies this year have a .920 save percentage? Well, among starting goalies, I think there is absolutely none. But no, that's not true. Wedgwood has a .920. He's the only one. And then Wallstead is at .916, but he started 33 games. So he's kind of their backup, really. It's close. It's like a split duty, but he's not the starter because he didn't start half the game. Right? Vasilevsky's .912, Thompson's .912, Shesterkin's .912. But you look at their goals against average. 261, 231, 244, 250. So now, just to put that into comparison, and you look at the goalies when we had lots of goalies at 930s. Remember when you had like the 930 save percentage in the National Hockey League? Right? It was a big deal. Even 920, if you go back to 2006 season, right? Guys had 925s. They had 2.24. So, yeah, their goals against average is down a bit. But you got guys like Wedgwood at a 207, and he was 920. Right? Kiprasov in 2006 had a 923 and a 207. Right? Now, they never used to track goals saved above expected. But that's why I used to argue in the fans in the 2000s, like, oh, goalies sucked in the 80s because of save percentage. I'm like, oh, really? Are you sure? Now, they played a different style, don't get me wrong. But the games were much more wide open. Well, it's harder. And now if you look at save percentage, I don't believe that one stat will tell you if the goalies are way worse. Goalies today play a better style, no question about it. If goalies in the 80s were taught to play the butterfly consistently, guess what? I think their numbers would have been better. No question in my mind. Now, the game was much more open, especially in some of the 80s series when like the orders were freewheeling, like better than anything we've ever seen. But if I look at guys today and I say, oh, there's only guys at 9-10, I don't think that I look at just their save percentage to compare it evenly and say, oh, well, you know what? When you had Carey Price and Henrik Lundqvist, are they that much better than Sorokin and Vasilevsky? Honestly, I don't think so. I think Sorokin and Vasilevsky are damn good. So I wouldn't personally go that far into trying to claim that the goalies today aren't good, and that's why they're not playing 60 games. I think there's more from the NHL. They look at stats, and and a lot of it is they don't want to play guys as much, for sure. That's it. Other thing, and I remember when this guy had the record, but did you know that Kenley Jensen recorded his 479 save last night for Detroit? So that passes Lee Smith. I remember when Lee Smith's 478, I was like, oh my God, no one's breaking that record. But of course now, Mariano Rivera is at 652 and Trevor Hoffman's at 601. But, Kenley Jansen's had himself a great career. He's third all time. It's got a ways to go. But it's funny how when I see the name Lee Smith, I'm just like, oh, that used to be the guy. I was like, oh, my God, no one's going to beat that. Also, now today is Jackie Robinson Day in Major Leagues Baseball. And his number 42 is now being retired. When they did retire, any player who was active who was wearing the number could still wear it until they retired. Mariano Rivera was the last player to actively wear number 42. What's interesting, though, about Jackie Robinson is that his wife, Rachel Robinson, is 103 years old and has done so much since her husband, Jackie, passed away in 1972. He passed away actually the day after I was born. Crazy. And she's been alive now and has done so much preserving his name. And she's going to be 104 later on. So just a shout out to Mrs. Robinson, because that to me is outstanding how she's carried on his legacy. And it was very, very important. For those who don't know, Jackie Robinson was the first black man to play in MLB. And he endured gross racism, like disgusting, from fans, from opposition. And like that was not easy at all. So I think it's just something to mention that his wife has been able to, I think, with class and dignity, really kind of carry on his tradition and make a name of herself, and doing so much philanthropy and other things. I think it's awesome. So, and Mariano Rivera, last guy. Rivera retired in 2013. He was the last player to actively wear number 42. In case you're wondering, that was our stats of the day, brought to you by All Star Construction. We will return. Your rep check joins us. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lotteries, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
Don't let equipment failure stop you cold. At AWS Welding in Nisku, our factory-trained service techs are on hand for all welding equipment repairs. We're a fully warranted center for Miller, Lincoln, and ESAB. And we service all makes and models. Proper, regular service extends the life of your gear and keeps it running at peak capacity. Don't wait for a breakdown. Book your service appointment today at 780-979-0470. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
I've got some good news if you've been thinking about a heavy-duty truck. The 2026 Ram 2500 Black Express is now at St. Albert Dodge. You've got 20-inch black aluminum wheels, black Mopar side steps, body color, bumpers and grille, and a Sport Performance hood. Available in all the colors for $68,990. Plus, new this year, Ram's best-in-class 10-year powertrain warranty. Now's the time. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Well, get ready for a silly, hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug in to your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring backhoes, excavators, forklifts, man lifts, wheel loaders, packers, road reclaimers, skid steers, telehandlers, turf mowers, plus commercial trailers and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Professional golf is coming to Blackhawk Golf Club this fall. The ATV Classic presented by Building Trades of Alberta brings the stars of PGA Tour Americas to you. Enjoy the ATV Fan Zone presented by Michelob Ultra, where golf meets festival vibes. Upgrade to VIP covered terrace seating with premium food and beverage options. September 17th to 20th. Tickets start at just $25, and the first 250 buyers receive a PGA Tour Americas commemorative gift. Get yours at atvclassic.com.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Industrial Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring Japa Equipment Rentals realignment with 5 2022 to 2020 XCMG 250U, 300U, 360U, and 490U excavators. Search Japa at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. For a limited time, get your favorite large specialty pizza from Papa John's for only $19.99. Use code LSPEC at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
.324. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Lots more texts coming in on the interview in hour number one. If you missed it, we had Chris Pronger on for the first 45 minutes or so of the show. If you missed it, I highly recommend checking it out. We'll have a special that interview up on YouTube and in its own place. Also, you can always just download the podcast and listen to it there. We addressed a lot of things from his time as Edmonton to Kevin Lowe's comments and other parts of his career, getting booed as a youngster in multiple cities. And really what changed his whole career was a conversation with a sports psychologist and needing to set some own standards. He didn't really have any own of his personal standards, really. And it was like, okay, I got to work harder. Number one, I got to eat better. Number two, and I got to lose my victimhood mentality. He said he always felt like, it's everybody else's fault, never his fault. You kind of feel the victim. And that is a great lesson for lots of us to remember, right? Tell your kids, like, if you always think it's somebody else's fault and it's never your own, unlikely that's truthful. Sometimes other people are at fault, no question. But if it's always someone else's fault, I don't know if that's going to work out. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440, as it's time now for the Oil Report, brought to you by Go Auto. With 31 new vehicle brands and 73 locations to choose from, GoAuto.ca is your stop with over 15,000 vehicles. GoAuto.ca. Tyler Remchuk from Owners Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing good here, Greggs. We got a little tease of spring over the last couple of days, and driving home today, it felt like December.
God, well, it started last night with the snow again, and then the snow, but now it's, it looks in the next few days here, it's supposed to get like 18 plus. So dare to dream, because yes, it does seem to be like a winter that's extended a little longer than the normal, for sure. I will say, I think I speak for most people when today I was just like, I was a little grumpy. I'm like, all right, enough. Like, you know what? You wanted to have snow, but then let's get back to some warm weather. I'm like, I am done wearing a toque, like no mas.
I know, and usually playoffs is the time when, like, all right, the Oilers are playing in the playoffs. Everyone's in a good mood. We're seeing the sun more. The snow's gone. And, like, the fact the playoffs could be starting in Edmonton in 3 or 4 days and there could still be snow on the ground is just disgusting.
The Edmonton Oilers, we'll find out tonight if they're playing for first or second. They also technically could be in third or fourth for sure, depending on what happens between their game and then Anaheim and LA. But coming right down to the final game, and really not just the final day of the NHL season, but essentially the final 3 games of the NHL season, as the Oilers Canucks. Well, I guess they're cracking the Avalanche play afterwards, but you got the Ducks in Nashville, Kings hosting or in Calgary, and then the Oilers hosting the Canucks. And by the the start of the third period, the Oilers will know what the Ducks have done, and if they lose, well, that guarantees them they stay in the Pacific. But man, if the Ducks win, that put even more pressure on the Oilers to make sure that they win.
Yeah, and I saw some people like, okay, would you maybe rest Ingram tomorrow? Not no, like you need to treat tomorrow. You need to treat tomorrow like it's a playoff game. And I would expect that the Oilers, the fact that Zach Hyman's coming back to play tomorrow is probably a signal that they recognize what's on the line here. As much as you can do the whole puff your chest out and say, we're not scared of anybody. And I get Oilers fans saying, we can beat Colorado, all this stuff. You absolutely do not want to go to the central side of the bracket, because it's one thing to have to play Colorado. It's another thing to get one of Dallas or Minnesota in the second round. Like, death sentence would be too harsh of a term on it, but like, I have a really hard time thinking that this iteration of the Oilers team could roll through both Colorado and Dallas. Like, some people were like, oh, why do you just want the easy path? It's boring watching them play the Kings again. And my response to that is they don't give you an extra big Stanley Cup if you beat better teams. Like, you just have to win 16 games. So the Oilers should be gunning hard to at least get the 1 point tomorrow, so they guarantee home ice advantage and staying on the Pacific side.
Yeah, like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, there's no easy path, but there are definitely less challenging teams. There's no doubt in my mind about that. It would be wild, though, if you had the Oilers in Colorado in the first round. And that means the Oilers would then start for sure on Sunday, because Colorado, you got the Nuggets playing Saturday, Monday. The Avalanche play Thursday. They can't play Saturday, so they're going to play Sunday. So if Edmonton's there, they'll start on Sunday. They could, even if they're at home, start on Sunday, but I do think there's a chance the Oilers could also start Monday night because Ottawa's playing Saturday by sounds of everybody out of Ottawa. So that means Montreal, because there's no chance Ottawa and Montreal are playing on the same night. So if I'm Sportsnet and I'm like, okay, I got Montreal one night, I'd rather have Edmonton on the opposite night of Montreal.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that's the way it was going to go. And selfishly, I kind of like the idea of them starting Sunday, the Oilers, that is. So I was hoping Montreal would get home ice advantage, because then Sportsnet would have wanted Saturday night at the Bell Center to open up their playoff coverage, and that would open the door for probably an Edmonton-Ottawa, or an Ottawa then Edmonton back-to-back on Sunday. But kicking things off on Monday, fine by me as well, especially with some of the injuries. Like, I'd be very curious, is a Sunday to Monday, is that extra 1 day? Because we know Leon Draisaitl is going to be probably described as day-to-day when the playoffs begin. Is that extra 1 day? Could that be enough to get Leon to, okay, I'm at 95% now, not 90. I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I watched Leon, and I put some videos out today. I was watching, like, he was pushing himself harder in practice today than he had been earlier in the week, which makes sense. I understand it. And now, just because you do heavy crossovers doesn't mean you're ready to play in the game. I'm not that foolish, but it just shows me that there's, I thought today he was kind of pushing himself just to see, and then, how does it feel? And there's really the risk of coming back early from an MCL is that you can tear it worse. And that's what Grant Fedoruk told us on the show. So I think Draisaitl said it. He knows his body. He could be ready for game one. I think we might see him, a little bit later in the series. Maybe it's game 2, maybe it's game 3. I don't know when. But I'm more intrigued by the Dickinson one, and the comments today from Chris Knobloch at how, they're going to reevaluate again. They're seeing the doctor on Friday, kind of see where they're at. Dickinson really wants to play. He said, I want him to play. The fact that he said Dickinson really wants to play, and then a lot of people took that as a negative. I'm like, no, I don't. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm interpreting that as, yeah, he's really chomping. He wants to go. It's just a matter of when can he go.
Yeah, I kind of, and again, you would have heard the tone of Chris Knobloch's voice. Like, I read that. It read more as negative to me. The fact that, hey, we're going to reevaluate him on Friday, that kind of hit me as like, oh, God. So, like, you're still that unsure. You need the doctors to look at him. And the fact is he hasn't been skating, right? Like, Leon Draisaitl, at least there is, and the video you put out today was great. And it got me excited because I was watching him boogie up and down the ice. And maybe I am foolish, but I was like, yeah, that's a guy who wants to play in game 1. But the Dickinson thing, just because he hasn't been skating, and then, still on Friday, another consultation with the doctors, like, do you think it's fair to say, like, better chance Draisaitl's in game 1 over Dickinson, or would you say they're closer to even?
Good question. My sense on Dickinson is just going to be, where he got the puck. I think it's either going to be a deep bone bruise, or maybe there's a hairline fracture. And so what that's going to come down to all about pain. management. And, obviously, because your ankles, you got to have mobility for sure. Ankle flexion is key for good skating, right? Like, now I know Draisaitl had a high ankle sprain that year, and he got around the ice pretty well, but, Dickinson's not Draisaitl, and this, every injury is a little bit different. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I hope Dickinson's ready, and they might just say, hey, we're not even going to have you on the ice. We don't want to rush anything. Because now I got there earlier today. I didn't see him on the ice early by himself, because sometimes that's when the injured guys will skate. Now, unless he was on really early, which could be possible, right? I didn't see him on the ice. And so I'd have to see him skate at least once in practice on the weekend to have any chance to play game one. Draisaitl at least skating.
Yeah, and I would even say this is another reason why you'd probably like them to have home ice advantage in round one of the playoffs, because let these guys skate at Rogers Place. You can make decisions maybe a little bit later. I know guys can easily travel with the team, but I just think there's a benefit to, again, even if it's at home and it means it's a Monday start, like an extra day of practicing in your own rink with your own facilities and all that. I think there's an advantage to it. And the other part of the conversation too, like you mentioned Draisaitl with the high ankle sprain. We had Ekholm last year come back, even though I don't think he was at a 100%. Like, guys are going to want to go if they're at 80%, at 85. And I know I'm just kind of like throwing numbers out here, but what's the number for Jason Dickinson here? If you only think you have Dickinson at 80%, okay, you know what? Maybe you'd rather just have a Lazar on the roster to go win faceoffs or something like that. What about Draisaitl though? If Draisaitl, if you think you can throw him out there to help on a power play that's been pretty miserable since he's been out, is there value in dressing him, even if you know he's not going to give you the 5-on-5 workload that he usually does? Or again, is early in the playoffs, is it just not worth risking anything, even if you trust Coach Knobloch and Draisaitl to do the right thing and actually only play him on the power play and for a few ozone starts kind of thing?
Yeah, that's possible. But I think a lot of times they'll say, hey, if the guy's, he's got to be good enough to play. And because you don't want to take somebody else out of lineup if he's going to just play in the power play. And because honestly, I don't think Draisaitl would be effective. What if you only get 3 power plays, but you don't get any until halfway through the second period and he hasn't even taken a shift, right? So I think if Draisaitl's playing, it's because he's going to take a regular shift. Now, it might not be 22 minutes. It might only be 17. But I think that's kind of how it's going to go. The other thing I would expect for the Oilers is to see Calvin Pickard come up as the number 3 goalie after the regular season, so as early as Friday. Most teams like to have a third goalie around if you can. They got Tompkins is playing well down there. I don't think he's going to play by any stretch of imagination. I think he's just coming up for practice. In practice, sometimes they don't have the starters out there. Like Ingram might practice for 5 minutes and get off the ice. So I think we're going to see something like that. The other one is Spencer Stastny hasn't played forever, and he's not going to play tomorrow because they got to win. That if there is an injury on the blue line, I wonder if we see a recall from the American League instead of Stastny going in, who hasn't played in a month.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I talked about this earlier last week with Liam, and at that point, the Oilers were still in the driver's seat to win the Pacific Division. So the thinking was, hey, if you can take care of business, get a few wins, the advantage would be you could throw a Stastny in against Vancouver. But with so much on the line, you're not going to run that risk. And this is something you and I even talked about last week in terms of the rotation with the forwards, that like the last thing you'd want to do is halfway through a playoff round to have to throw a guy in the lineup who hasn't played a hockey game in 3-4 weeks. And that's what they're staring down the barrel of here with Spencer Stastny. Is there, and I wasn't super prepared for this, so like, is there a world, because Bakersfield plays a couple of pretty inconsequential games on the weekend, could you do a conditioning stint? But he has been hurt, right? So then it's just, that closes that completely.
Yeah, I don't think, no, conditioning stint, yeah. Not this late in the season, but I won't be shocked if we see a transaction with Ike Howard going back for this weekend's games, because those games actually, they're actually meaningful in the standings for Bakersfield, right?
They clinched though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're in,
Yeah,
but it's seeding, right?
Okay.
And the seed's there because then you get to decide if you're the higher seed, you get to pick if you have game 1 at home or games 2 and 3 at home. It's a unique rule in the American League, very unique rule. Cool. They've got going on there. So no, the games matter. And we had Keith Gretzky on earlier this week, and I think they would like it if Howard, because if the Oilers aren't playing until Monday, whatever, you can still have them. You can send them down tomorrow, have them go play Friday, Saturday, and then if you got to recall them, you recall them, right? So I can see that. Plus, if Draisaitl's getting closer, that means someone else is coming out of the lineup, and away on Dickinson, So I think they have enough bodies around here right now. What do you make of Doc Frederick and what they can do in the postseason?
they can have an identity, right? They can play a role, and those are also two guys. I know Doc scored last week in Utah, and Frederick, I'm still choosing to believe there's a bit more offense in that guy than what we've seen when he's been in an Oilers sweater, but I think they're a trustworthy duo outside of that one really bad shift against Colorado where they got hemmed in bad. I think it was in the first period there, and there was a few nasty turnovers. But I think they're relatively trustworthy. They're going to be a pain in the behind for the other team to play against because Colton Dock never shies up an opportunity to finish a check. There's a few times where I just kind of laugh at he's just like a lunatic out there. There's a situation where you're like, that's not even worth wasting the energy to hit a guy, and he'll go and throw himself at him on the boards. You had the play where again, I forget what period, but he kind of had Devon Taves tied up behind the net after a whistle and just almost started punching him in the top of the head. I want a guy with that kind of energy in a playoff series who can get under the skin of the other team. Remember, the Oilers had guys like that in the past with the Perrys and Evander Kanes, and they don't have as much of it on this year's roster. So having Doc and Frederick out there to just run around, be physical, get under the skin of the other team, maybe draw a penalty, or even just flipping D-zone starts. If they're playing with Adam Henrique, I think you can trust him with D-zone starts. Flipping a D-zone start shift into a face-off at the other end, then you can throw the big boys out there with potentially a tired group. There's all these little things you can do that aren't goals and assists and stuff like that. There's little things you can do over the course of a best-of-7 series that can really impact the outcome of games. Again, you and I have talked about this a lot. Paul Maurice last year with that fourth line, there was the mic'd up clip of him on the bench, screaming that if you hit him hard in games 1 and 2, they'll feel it in game 7 kind of thing. So having a line that's just purely out there to wear down the other team and get under their skin, I see value in that. And that's what I think those two do best.
What's your thoughts on Josh Szymanski and what he could be in the future?
There was a play that I absolutely loved because he hasn't made a lot of mistakes in his 20-some odd games as an Edmonton Oiler. It's been one of the most impressive parts of his game that he's, come in here and been, a trustworthy player for Chris Knobloch and this coaching staff. There was a play last game where he tried to do a little short pass to Darnell Nurse behind the net. It immediately got turned over and thrown in front, and the Avalanche player had kind of 2 strides to walk in with a shot, and then out of nowhere, Josh Szymanski swooped in and blocked the shot. And I looked at that and went, man, we haven't seen him make a ton of mistakes, but that's a great characteristic for a young player to have. When he does mess up, it's not like he got wide-eyed and started to scramble and go, oh my God, I just messed up and froze. He turned it over, then went, all right, I better make up for this, and then slid into a dangerous lane and blocked a shot. I loved seeing that from him. At the same time, again, I liked what he's brought. I don't think he's in my night 1 lineup if the decision is either him or Adam Henrique. If it's him or Curtis Lazar, maybe a bit of a conversation, but if we're talking about a player who's only going to play 7 to 9 minutes in the hockey game, I think I want Curtis Lazar because of how good he is winning faceoffs. So I like the player. I think he's absolutely an everyday NHLer next season, but I think once guys start getting healthy, Szymanski might be on the outside looking in of my night 1 playoff lineup.
Well, you're saying Draisaitl's healthy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If Draisaitl's not healthy, then you have a spot for him.
Yeah. And even if Draisaitl's healthy, I don't think Szymanski comes out until Dickinson's ready.
So you'd have him in over Lazar potentially?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think they would have. I think what would happen is Draisaitl comes in, he's your center. Nugent Hopkins will move to the wing, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kapanen, Nugent Hopkins, Henrique line.
Kapanen's an interesting one because his plays kind of stumbled a little bit as of late, and he got out there in overtime. Granted, he took a penalty, but that's not really a penalty that I overly blame the player for. But 5-on-5 minutes against Colorado, the only player who played less than Kasperi Kapanen was Curtis Lazar. So if we want to use the coach's usage maybe as a way to read the tea leaves and see what he could do, that would tell you if you get Hyman and Draisaitl back, Howard, and then one of Kapanen or Lazar could potentially come out. To your point, I guess, Szymanski played more than Henrique at 5-on-5 last game. There's clearly something there. They clearly do trust the player.
Oh, God, yeah. No, I think they trust the player, and there's no question about it. That's why I think he's in until Lazar. But even Kapanen, I know Kapanen's had a few, games here or there, but, Kapanen, his speed, his physicality in the playoffs, I'm having him in the lineup all day long. And I wouldn't be shocked. You have a Kapanen, Nugent Hopkins, Henrique line, because I'm saying Szymanski stays until Dickinson's back with Doc and Frederick. And then you have Podkolzin, Roslovic, and Draisaitl, and you keep Savoy with Hyman and McDavid to start. Now, that's to start because Matt Savoy's never been in the playoffs in the NHL. So we'll have to see how he handles it. He wouldn't be the first guy who first time through, it doesn't go well. Now, maybe it goes well. Maybe he'll be like Jake Gensel was to the Penguins in 2017. You never know for a rookie. But when I look at Szymanski and I look at the lineup and everything like that, I do think Lazar is the guy. When Draisaitl comes in, if he's the first one in, it's Lazar out. And then when Dickinson comes in, I think it's Szymanski who comes up, assuming everybody else stays healthy.
Yeah, and what you were saying, Liam and I today were doing like a blue sky line combos. Like if everyone's available by game 2 or 3, what does your lineup look like? And we threw out the idea of Dickinson with Nuge and Kapanen and kind of taking Kapanen and putting him with like 2 really good defensively responsible forwards. And then the upside of Kapanen is he's comfortable holding on to the puck. You see it a lot of times in the O zone, sometimes almost to a fault, but he'll like go around the whole perimeter of the zone with the puck on his stick. Like he's not a guy who gets scared and makes a play quickly just because he's like, oh my God, I've had it on my stick for 3 seconds. And then we also saw last week, and we've seen it a lot in his time as an Oiler, bit of a one-shot scorer, right? He can come in off the rush and zing a puck past a goalie. So if you were to say kind of the 2 critiques of Nugent Hopkins and Dickinson, neither of them are great scorers. They're not guys who are going to burst down the wing and fire one home. So you kind of play off each of their deficiencies and say, hey, Kapanen, some of the defensive workload is off your plate when you play with those 2. We just need you to have the puck, create offense, and not make any terribly egregious screw-ups.
Ty, who do you think the Oilers will play? What's your best guess?
The Los Angeles Kings. I just think it's hilarious that you can fire the coaches, trade the goalies, trade first-round picks at the deadline, and it all comes back to Edmonton and LA in round 1. So, I don't know. They got a pretty easy spot on the schedule in their season finale. Anaheim's got to play Nashville, and I get that Nashville's out of it, but that's still a team that's full of veterans. They'll give you a good, hard, proud effort in Game 82. I think the Oilers win. I think the Ducks lose. I think the Kings win, and it's Edmonton-LA Part 5.
God. Just there's nothing about the Kings that excites me. Like, it's funny for teams that have met 4 years in a row, there's like hardly any animosity amongst those two. It's wild. Like, great. Drew Doughty was right. It's not a rivalry because they always beat us. And it's kind of how, like, you think the Kings would be in the regular season cheap shot. Like, look at Tampa and Florida. They battle each other all the time, right? They're going after each other all the time. LA gets her ass kicked 4 years in a row and has done absolutely nothing to try to bully the Oilers. It's wild to me.
Yeah, and I even had people today being like, oh, wouldn't you be worried that the Kings are going to take runs at McDavid if the Oilers if it gets out of hand in that series? I laughed. I was like, yeah, like the Ducks at least, it's like, okay, Gudas, Trouba, Kreider, like there's guys who could run around and do some stuff. I think the Kings, honestly, I think they're so exhausted from having to defend the Oilers that when the whistle goes, a lot of times they just don't even have the energy to keep going at them. So, yeah, I would welcome from a pure perspective of like wanting the Oilers to advance as far as they can. Give me this year's Los Angeles Kings all day.
Yeah, like I don't think the Kings are any better, really. Like if Fiala was back, it'd be a totally different story, right? And that's why I think like Ken Holland's acquisition of Panarin shows me the organization realizes they can't play the same way in the future. But right now, we just saw the Kings. They still play the same way. And the thing is, Edmonton has more firepower. And doesn't mean LA can't win, because they might have won last year if they don't have a stupid coach's challenge and a terrible bad clear by Byfield. They probably could have won the series, no question. But I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I'm not saying the Oilers are as good as they were last year, although I think Edmonton, when they're fully healthy, I actually like the makeup of their team. They didn't have Dickinson last year. They didn't have Murphy last year. I think that makes them better, actually. But LA just, they are who they are. And you're right. They got nobody to worry about. Although Gudas, like I know he got Matthews, but like Racco Gudas I'm trying to think when he was in the playoffs, doesn't really cheap shot guys. He'll get in your face, but like the Ducks aren't very good defensively to me. That series I just think would be more entertaining to watch because the Ducks, they can't sit back and defend. They just don't have it in them. So I just think LA could be a boring, and Edmonton they'll play boring to beat LA. They don't have a problem doing it. I just think it'll be a boring series.
Yeah, and maybe because again, it would probably be pretty repetitive. But Liam and I were even looking today, like Oilers Kings. I think the over is hit in like 80% of their meetings in the playoffs over the last 4 years. Like they actually have played some pretty crazy high scoring games with big comebacks and all that. But yeah, like it would be boring. I bet you TV ratings wise, it would do well because Connor McDavid's in there, but I bet you there's a lot of people who aren't Oilers or Kings fans who would just kind of roll their eyes and be like, all right, I'm going to watch Dallas, Minnesota, or whatever the competing game is because I just don't want to watch Edmonton, LA for a 5th straight year, which is kind of throwing the NHL's playoff format back in their face a little bit here. They wanted rivalries and some repeated matchups, and they could get a 5th straight year of Edmonton, LA.
It's very plausible. That would tie the NHL record for second most consecutive years against one team. Edmonton already owns that record against Dallas 5 in a row. Montreal and Boston, a record probably never be broke. 9 consecutive seasons they met in the playoffs. Not always in the first round, though. So, Ty, enjoy the night. We will chat with you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Yep.
It's Ty Yaremchuk. Was Oil Report brought to you by Go Auto. We'll come back. We got 5 questions on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
As we all try to figure out when winter will actually stop and spring will finally be here for the season, GS Construction moves ahead with their plans for the year. From planning and digging to laying out underground infrastructure, construction season is limited, so we make every day count. And that's why GS Construction counts on our team to get the job done right. Crews are getting back in action across the city, and we'd like you to join us. We're looking for experienced top men, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. For more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Edmonton's go-to station for all things sports is Sports 1440.
From Low Tide to Kevin Carius and Jason Gregor, we deliver the latest on your favorite teams.
Tune in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
to Sports 1440.
Everything is going to be okay. If you're feeling the weight of too much debt, you have options. I'm Dan McDicken, a licensed insolvency trustee with Faber. Becoming debt-free is possible, and a personal bankruptcy or a consumer proposal will get you there. Schedule your free Faber Focus session at faber.ca today. You'll learn how a consumer proposal will eliminate your debt by paying a percentage of the amount owed without interest. At Faber, we've got your back.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or the McDonald's app and dig into instant savings. Plus, you earn points towards
free McDonald's.
Now that's what I call
a double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value. For a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved heavy truck auction is next Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, man lifts, vacs, pickers, service, shunt, and tank trucks, plus more. Info at maauctions.com.
A relaxing day at the lake without a Toyota Tundra can be noisy. But when you get a Tundra at your local Toyota dealer, you can take advantage of up to 11,000 pounds of towing capacity to find a quieter spot. That's better. Lease a 2026 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $149 weekly for 60 months at 5.29% APR with $8,799 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring backhoes, excavators, forklifts, man lifts, wheel loaders, packers, road reclaimers, skid steers, telehandlers, turf mowers, plus commercial trailers and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork, made in Canada, made for Canada, where extreme isn't theoretical. Find your solution at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.353, welcome back, Gregor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. Let's get to 5 questions. 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where you can spring into savings. I know you look outside, you're like, spring, what are you talking about? Oh, it's coming. So you know what? Maybe you need some outdoor furniture. Get deals on that. And mattresses right now up to 40% off. The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. If you are ranking the Oilers' first-round opponents, and I'm saying 1 would be the most favorable, 3 the least. I'm only doing 3 here. What would the order look like for you, 3 to 1?
Oh, Anaheim's 1 all day long. 2 would be Utah. And 3, Vegas. I don't even want to think about them playing unless I'll say Vegas.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you with Vegas. Like, just if it gets going, they've been there before.
Actually, they can't even play Vegas. What am I saying? That's wrong on my part. So it has to be LA. Colorado, sorry. Colorado would be 3rd. Yeah, they can't play Vegas.
They might be 4th if possible. Yeah, I kind of like, I don't mind the LA matchup. Like, people have said it'll, eventually. Well, why? Why eventually? The Oilers have kind of ran their show. They had their chance. They messed it up. And then the Oilers rallied to come back and win the series. So I look at Anaheim being, the most ideal, just, a younger team that has trouble to stop goals. Oilers can go after that. I'd have the Kings there and then Utah 3rd, I suppose, with obviously Colorado being the team you'd least want to see. Question number 2 for you. As we're sitting here today looking at series, what are you most excited to watch? Which series?
Montreal, Tampa Bay would be the one that maybe intrigues me most. I will say don't sleep on the Senators. But yeah, Montreal, Tampa Bay, I think is going to be a good series. I think there's going to be some great goaltending, but there's also going to be some great opportunities. You got some skill on both sides. So I like that. If Edmonton played Utah, that'd be a fun series because you got 2 of the 3 fastest teams in the NHL.
I'll go with the Central Division, Dallas, Minnesota. We saw last time they played a little bit of bad blood, assuming that's going to carry over. And I'm curious to see Pitt Phil. Will Battle of Pennsylvania, will there be something kind of bruised there? I'm intrigued by that one, but for sure the Central Division for me. Question number 3 for you. We heard Rick Bowness had some strong words after the game last night. If they're the Blue Jackets, I mean, they went on a crazy losing skid to end the season. Do you think he will be back next year?
Yeah, I didn't really have an issue with what he said. He got fired up. He knows. Like, remember what Patrick Laine said about the Columbus Blue Jackets? And everybody's like, "Oh, Patrick Laine, what does he know?" Well, maybe he knew something that people don't want to admit. And I know the Columbus players, they come out, yeah, you know what? I disagree that we don't want to win. Well, what did the head coach say? When it got hard, they didn't show up. They lost their last 6 games at home. I know the players try to say, well, we don't know how to win. Seems to me like a lame excuse. So I'm not sure I disagree with anything the coach said. He would know. He would know about it. And like, look at Florida. A lot of people don't talk about the fact that they switched up their core. Bill Zito came in. He made the big trade. because his core group, it was too comfortable. It wasn't working. And he made the big trades, and it worked. So now Columbus doesn't have a Barkov. I get it. But you can think you're working hard, Connor, but you're not working hard enough to win to make the playoffs. It's that simple. So I don't have an issue at all with what he said. Do I think he's going to be back? You know what? I'd have no problem with it, because here's the thing. If your team can't handle your coach saying it, because I'm telling you, he said it in private. It's not the first time he said it, Connor Halley. So I don't have a problem with it. Like, guess what? Show him that you're going to be better. So I would hope he's back, to be honest, but something tells me it won't be.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Don Waddell, I'm saying, okay, you say you're going to change the culture. How do we do this? Like, what's your thoughts? What do I do? Let's hear it out, because I'm intrigued by it. I like to hear that. I like a little passion from a head coach when they finish the season the way they did. So I would like to see him back. Obviously, I'm sure they'll do their research, see who's out there, but I would like to see it. Question number 4 for you. Did you see LaMelo's play on BAM last night in the play-in game? Did you think it was dirty? And if so, does it warrant any punishment?
Go ahead.
I didn't like it. I think that's a basketball player in LaMelo, knowing that there's a player in a vulnerable position. He's coming down, and you sweep the leg. Is that what it was from Karate Kid? I don't know what he's trying to do. There's no defense to it for me. I thought it was a dirty play. I don't know what the standard would be in the NBA, but if they were to suspend him, because Bam only played 11 minutes, I think we'd say he's one of their, if not their best player. I would be on board for a 1-game suspension, because I didn't like the play.
Okay. But what are you going to suspend him for the first few games next year?
Well, they won last night.
Oh yeah.
So it's costly though, right? The big playing game.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be suspension. And it was a hard. I agree with you that it was hard. I didn't think it's suspendable for me. No, I wouldn't do it.
Final question.
Do you think he's going to get suspended?
No, I don't. Okay. So. I don't think so. But I wonder. I think Bam's a respected guy around the league. I wonder if guys get their chance on him, if something could happen maybe in the future. Question number 5 for you: National Laundry Day. My question to you, Gregor: how serious are you when it comes to doing laundry? Are you the colors and darks and lights? Do you do things certain out to air dry? What's your approach to laundry?
Well, I don't want my white shirts pink, so I never put the whites with reds. Of course, now I don't do as much laundry anymore now, but obviously I lived by myself for years. I can do laundry. I never minded laundry. When people complain about laundry, I was always like, God, of all the household chores, it's like the easiest. All you got to do is put the clothes in the machine, take them out of the machine. You got to fold them. I don't mind folding clothes, but yes, there's certain. I rarely put my jeans in the dryer. Right? They say it wears it out. There's certain parts of clothing for sure I never put in the dryer. Right? We got a hanging rack right in our back entrance. Got it built in. So yes, I'm pretty stickler on that.
Yeah, I can't say I am. I don't think I have ever really been that guy. And I haven't had like the sitcom situation, my white shirt's pink, or all of a sudden something the size of an infant, it just shrinks in the dryer. I've yet to have that experience. I will say, since getting married, and Ashley has said, for the dark denim, put them inside out the first few times, or maybe let them air dry, but that would be the extent of it. For me, it's pretty nonchalant when it comes to laundry.
All right. Okay. That's fair. I don't mind laundry, man. Like, I'll say there's just something about like when the dryer ends and you get like the warm clothes. Fantastic. I love that. Quick break. We'll come back. Ritch Winter is going to join us. We have a topic that I find somewhat fascinating. Now, this is, and I'm going to say this, we're not mocking the Toronto Maple Leafs by any stretch, but the future of franchises, I don't know if I would go into a meeting now it's different, but like AI in sports doesn't work. Anybody can Google certain things. It's not accurate enough. It doesn't have enough unless you ask, hey, who had the most goals? But I tell you all the time, I've looked it up a few times and it's wrong. It's wrong. So when I heard that, I was like, eesh, I'm not sold that AI is yet the best way to pick your players. But there are some things you can do. We'll discuss that in the business of sport next on the Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. But first, we'll get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Meet all your car needs and more with their digital vehicle report. They don't just tell you what your car needs, they'll show you. Book your appointment today at fountaintire.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
6 games in the NHL tonight. The Golden Knights can win the Pacific Division if they pick up a point. They take on the Kraken just after 8 o'clock. You also got the Sharks and Blackhawks, Sens, Leafs, Panthers taking on the Wings, Rangers in Tampa, and the Sabres hosting the Dallas Stars. In the NBA's playoff games, play-in game tonight. Sixers host the Magic at 5:30. Then at 8 o'clock, Warriors taking on the Clippers from Inglewood. Major League Baseball, Blue Jays looking to make it 2 straight over the Brewers when they meet. First pitch, 5:40. We'll join that game in progress on our AM feed only. Elsewhere, Cubbies in Philadelphia. Reds host the Giants. Got the Angels and the Yankees from the Bronx. Astros, Rockies, Mariners head to San Diego, and the Dodgers host the Mets. Earlier today, Orioles falling at home with the Diamondbacks 8-5. Cards got past the Guardians 5-3, and Red Sox over the Twins 9-5. In the PWHL, 2 games tonight. Toronto in New York, Boston hosting Minnesota. Both games starting just after 5 o'clock. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll get to another edition of the Business of Sport with longtime NHL player agent Ritch Winter. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
What a performance by Action Electrical today. Their project team
Welcome back.
kicked
It
things
is the
off,
Gregor Show.
designing and building with unmatched skill.
Then the service team swoops in for those crucial repairs and maintenance. And don't forget the testing team, ensuring everything's safe and sound before the solar team scores with sustainable energy.
A complete team effort. Have Action Electrical bring home a win for you and your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
24
Show
hours a
presented by
day, 7 days a week.
Halley, Sports 1440,
Stay
Sports.
informed with Sports 1440. Stream us. Listen to us on the AM dial. However you consume this radio station, thanks for listening.
Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All-Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All-Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrovacking, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep, and yep. Since 2009, All-Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All-Star Construction is all about.
At On the Rocks, the party never stops.
Check it out.
Mondays, bingo tune.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best Latin DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Ready to upgrade your ride this spring? Come on down to the Golf Cart People. They're a family-owned and operated business that's been serving the community since '97. Whether you're looking for a brand new or quality pre-owned cart, a rental for a special event, they do that too. The Golf Cart People have a huge selection of parts and accessories, and their expert service team is here to keep you rolling. The Golf Cart People, your one-stop shop for everything golf cart. Visit golfcartpeople.com.
Welcome back to Nissan. Today we've got Nissan Kicks coming in strong as a leader in fuel efficiency for gas-only CUVs. Some of the other guys respond with a wallet-breaking detour to the pumps. Hats off to Nissan's fuel-efficient Japanese engineering.
Right now, finance a Nissan Kicks for 0% for 36 months. Visit Nissan.ca for details. Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips, we fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Just after 4 o'clock, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. You're like all of us. We are together in the belief that winter has run its course. Can we end it now? I think that would be nice, but we'll see. Hopefully this is the one last hurrah. That one final kick, just trying to give it to you, and then it's over. Because I think I speak for many of us that enough's enough. Let's move on. NHL playoffs are here. Snow can go away. Good thing golfing. Look, there's NHL teams. Actually, some are already done. Their season's over. Right? You look at the teams they could be if they wanted to, and that may be a little bit early in some of those markets, but Washington, their season's over. Columbus, Islanders, Devils, they're done. They're done. So tonight will be the last night that we will see the Detroit Red Wings play. The Blues, the Panthers, a few others. So enjoy it. They could be golfing. Hopefully you can too. Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. We got NHL, MLB, NBA odds boost specials for Jason Gregor Show. You can check that out and get your tickets for Lotto 649 tonight. Good luck in the OG at $28 million. Time now. We're going to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. 53 years and become one of the most diversified electrical contractors in the province. You mean sitting on the fence? You mean humming? You mean hawing? Don't do it any longer. You want solar? They can have it for residential or commercial. And if you get it for your commercial place, you can qualify for up to 30% off federal tax credit, plus accelerated capital cost allowance benefits. Learn more, actionelectrical.net. As the business of sport continues on with Ritch Winter. Rich, my man, how you doing?
Good. I hope you guys are going to be able to hear me well enough. I'm in the LaGuardia Airport where I don't know what you guys had today, but I was walking in Central Park, 82 degrees.
Yeah, well, it's snowing here, Rich. If I could give you the proverbial finger right now, I might.
My goodness, it's like enough's enough. Holy smokes.
No, I would agree. Today, I want to talk about a strategic framework for a technology-driven hockey franchise, right? The future, the franchise of the future, and how because it's funny. You heard the reports. I don't know if you read that article coming out of Toronto where Pelly brought in AI reports at the trade deadline, and I know you're big into AI, Rich. I'm just not sure that's the way to use it.
Look, AI is simply an accelerator. If you have an old beat up jalopy with a couple of tire nuts taken off, and you start to accelerate at high speed, you die. And a hockey team's no different. It's just an accelerator. If you don't have a vision, you don't have the culture, you don't have the people in place, and you don't have the processes in place, you're just driving off the cliff. And it's, the fundamental issue that companies that are trying to implement AI have is biting off more than they can chew, trying to do too much too fast without all of these things in place. Elon Musk hasn't succeeded because of technology. Elon Musk has succeeded because he's a genius, and he's applied technology with the genius that he's been naturally bred with, I guess. But because I can't imagine it's his Queen's University education, but who knows? So at the end of the day, I just think when you look at what you saw coming out of Toronto, if it's true, you're bringing ChatGPT into a scouting session or a trade deadline meeting. Okay, it's okay if it's simply going to guide you to maybe ask some unique questions. But when you don't have the processes in place, and like, I think the vision is really important for an NHL team. If you study the modern dynasties, and the ones that I rely on and have done a lot of research include the LA Dodgers, Golden State Warriors, New England Patriots, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, and the Mumbai Indians, because they've dominated international or the Indian Cricket League for a number of years. But what they have done is they have decided, unlike it appeared Treliving had decided, he was going to get an extra round. He was going to accelerate, maybe get a little bit further in the playoffs. And that leads him to trade 2 first-round picks and their best prospect, probably would have been the future captain of the Leafs. These dynasties have decided from the get-go, when new ownership took over, they're going to be a modern dynasty. That's what we're doing. We're not going to win one cup. We're going to make decisions that we believe, with technology, are going to get us to where we want to be. That's what, even back as long as John Wooden, Coach Wooden, who I was blessed enough to spend a lot of time with, partly through my UCLA connections where I went to school. Coach did a research project every year. If he felt he needed a little bit of a bump on free throws or some form of a defensive set, he found the 5-6 organizations in the country that were best at that. Then he got on the road, he went and saw them, he learned what he could. I mean, he didn't have technology at his side, but there's a process-driven coach with a vision, and his vision was to win championships every year. And he did it 10 times his last 12 years he was at UCLA. But you apply technology to any company that's in disarray, you're just going to get to disaster faster. And you're going to spend more money doing it because you got to buy the AI. So what I saw today didn't make sense to me, because AI is simply a tool in the tool chest of a very capable carpenter. That's all it is.
Well, and really the big one when you look at the franchise of the future is going to be the hockey teams and operations who work in the business of managing and operating a hockey team compared to those who work on the business of building the future success, right? And it's two very different ones.
Well, every successful Fortune 7, which are now all technology companies, have, and many other Fortune 500 have learned that Google search is a good example. Google searches hockey operations. When Google search started, it was a search company. They were working, I'm sure, 24/7, 365, trying to figure out how to get us hooked on ads, how to sell ads, and doing all the things they do. Where did Gmail come from? And Android phones, and Google Earth, and all of those other things. It came from a group of people that they had working on the business. So if you're drafting at 12.3%, NHL teams on average are drafting core players, that's top 6 forwards, third line center, top 4D, and number 1 goalie, at an average, because the rest of the guys you can get at Walmart. And they're drafting those at a rate of 12.3%. Seems like the expectations should be slightly higher. So how do you address that? Well, you can employ technology to do that, but you need a group of people. You see, and you talk to the guys at the Oilers, you see what the Oilers management team is doing. You see them flying back and forth and being on the road and doing all those things. They are Google search. They don't have the time. And so the way the LA Dodgers and all of these Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, that Mumbai Indians have done, they've set up their own innovation group, much like Google did. They set, and in LA, it's called the Elysian Park Ventures. So what Elysian Park Ventures does, they focus on finding investments that will make their organization stronger. And they focus on 3 different returns on investment. They look at, we will invest if we can get some return in the following 3 areas. Individual team growth in terms of their performance, enhanced team performance, or contribution to the bottom line. Now, if we can get all 3 of those, that's a home run investment. But that's what those teams are doing. And they're doing it because when Guggenheim Partners bought the Dodgers, we all thought they were crazy at $2 billion at that time. They treated it like any other private equity investment. We've got this brand. How are we going to exploit it? And they did it through the innovation applications. We learned a little bit about that last week with Jonathan Bradley. How do the Edmonton Oilers, how do the Calgary Flames jump the queue and become a dominant modern franchise? It's not by doing the same things you've always done.
Yeah, and that's the challenge in life, in every business, is to want to look and realize, okay, what we're doing, and it doesn't have to be like a massive overhaul. It can be a small, subtle change in one direction here. It's going to have to be multiple ones, right? Drafting, developing obviously has to be key. Avoiding, like you've talked about a lot. Like there's going to be a contract that's maybe a little bit overpaid, as long as it's not grotesquely overpaid. You should be all right, because there's going to be some guys that you sign that end up giving you way more value than you thought they were going to give you, because otherwise they probably would have asked for even what they thought they were give you. Otherwise they would have asked for more money, right? So there's lots of things to look at. So realistically, if we're looking at the franchise of the future, what do you think would be like the top 3 priorities?
Number 1 is evidence clearly about what happened in Seattle this year. Did anybody that we know pick the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl?
I'm sure somebody.
No, but I mean, sure, somebody did in some bar in Seattle. But I mean, what they did last year is they brought a call. We had Steve Hauschka on last year, the former kicker with Seattle, who's now working with the leading cultural guru in sport, Michael Gervais. Michael worked with Pete Carrot to build the culture for the first Super Bowl win, and then they brought him back this year. And all those stories you see about Mike Macdonald are in part because Mike Macdonald's a bright young guy, but they're a large part due to the work Michael Gervais did to help them rebuild the culture, because that's what he does. So number 1, I would bring in a culture expert to change and build the culture. The second thing I would do is I would evaluate artificial intelligence application to the draft, because what we know, all of us know, is the scouts, like all of us, are biased. And what AI can do in scrubbing scouting reports, they can evaluate the quality of the decisions made and recommendations made by scouts. So you know who in your organization is actually outperforming their contract. Then you look at analyzing AI. There's a new form of AI. It's called agentic AI. Right now, AI is simply a computer. It's a calculator. You type in a question, it gives you an answer, like a calculator. And it's limited by the amount of information and the timeliness of the information that was put into the large language model, which is the information that it relies on to answer the questions. What's happening now, and that's nice. It's descriptive. It's not predictive. But AI, agentic AI, if people read about it, is the bots are now talking to each other. So imagine this: we being an NHL team, could build 5, 6, 7 bots. These bots can watch every single game a prospect plays during his draft year. Every single game we have video on for the 5 or 6 years preceding that, because of all the video in the arenas. One bot can watch speed with and without puck. One bot can watch body language, the biggest determiner of attitude. One bot can watch various terms of skating analysis and stick length and other things, and provide you every single morning with a report on every single scout. Now, this is critically important. It's probably a longer discussion we might need to go in the next Senate. One of the biases that is really fascinating, where AI can probably generate massive returns, right? It's in what we call the relative age effect. We grow up playing hockey, if we're born in January, with kids that were born in December who have a massive disadvantage to us because of size, speed, maturity, and other things. We also have another overlay that affects the draft. We got kids drafted in late September. We're playing against guys that are drafted in early September the following year. How do you measure that? Can you imagine bots being able to watch every single game and tell scouts that in March to April, this young man born late in the draft year is now progressing at a rate that would suggest he's going to outperform and be a much better player than we've rated in the top 10 early in the draft because of the age difference. So having that kind of information piped into your office, and these guys, these bots, they're like employees. You walk in and you'll have a pop on your computer saying, yes, I prepared a report for you. And do you want an oral report on the 16 prospects you talked to me about yesterday? Or do you want a written report sent to your email? That kind of thing will give them a massive advantage in not only avoiding biases, but these bots are able to predict very accurately based on all the information that they can access. Keep in mind, a bot can process 1 trillion pieces of information in less than a minute. Compare that to a scout. So there's a lot of opportunity in scouting. So I would do that, but primarily I would look to create a structure that will effectively result in you succeeding. I would have a dual track system where you have, maybe it's a president of hockey operations, or call him a chief hockey something, and he would oversee the general manager who's working in the business. And this general manager would have a sidekick that we would call maybe the senior vice president of competitive advantage. And his responsibility would be working with technology companies, with innovation hubs, with sports science organizations around the world, from the Australian Institute of Sport to the Manchester City City Football Club Innovation Hub, mining opportunities to help us get better. But if you don't have that structure in place, you can talk innovation. You can have a guy in your holding company or the company that owns the sports team throwing out ChatGPT stuff, but you cannot succeed unless you have that basic structure. So I would build the structure, hire the people, bring in the cultural experts to try and begin building the culture that you need. Because it's interesting, there's body language experts. Vanessa Edwards, she's been studying body language for a number of years, and she has indicated, based on her research, and this makes sense. Think Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for a minute. If you work within 25 feet regularly of a high performer, the statistic and the research suggests you will perform at about a 15% higher rate on average. Look at the Oilers last year in the playoffs, playing for Connor, playing around those two great superstars. If you play in or work in an environment with low performers, you can drop as much as 25-30%. And we see that play out all the time. So these bots, being able to measure body language, will be able to give a real accurate prediction of what a player's attitude. Like we all know, we know if you're up. I walk into the studio, Jason, if you're not having a great day, I can see it almost instantly in your body language if I'm paying attention. The bot's much more observant than we are, and as a result will give us invaluable information. How does he carry himself? How does he react to a bad play? How does he react to being benched? How does he react to not getting a pass when he's open? And all of those kinds of things can help them make a lot less mistakes. And the goal with AI is not to be perfect. It's to be a lot less stupid.
Yeah. No, that is fair. Jason Gregor, Ritch Winter with you. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back more on the discussion about the right vision, a technology-driven hockey franchise, how it can help things. Doesn't mean that you don't have human beings working for it. It just you use the tools that can benefit you. There's a few other ones that we'll discuss because other teams are doing this. That's the thing. This is not something that's pie in the sky. Teams are actually doing this right now, and NHL teams who aren't are simply falling behind. We'll discuss it more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Wondering what you can afford? Let Go Auto do the math with our free car loan calculator. No pressure, no awkward convos, just quick answers on your budget and payments. Got credit? No credit? We got you. Text CHECK to 780-777-7777. That's CHECK to 780-all-7. Find out what you qualify for and start shopping with confidence. Go Auto. Drive what you love with payments that make sense.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lotteries, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play.
Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Craving your favorite mouth-watering pizzas? Papa John's has large specialty pizzas for only $19.99 for a limited time. Get a flavorful all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, Hawaiian, barbecue chicken, and more on original thin or New York style crust. Use the code LSPEC at papajohns.ca. or on the Papa John's app. Get yours today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off a $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
If you've got a smart speaker, get it to play Sports 1440.
And it doesn't matter when you listen, as we roll out the Sports Talk
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Edmonton's home for sports radio is Sports 1440.
At GS Construction, we're multitaskers. We've got lots of projects going on all around Edmonton and area. Different teams across the city working towards the same outcome. Installing today what will serve generations to come. It's a rewarding career and the work never stops. That's why GS Construction is always on the lookout for great people to join us. Right now, we're looking for experienced topmen, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. So if you want to feel valued, empowered, and engaged in your work, visit gsconstruction.ca today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Bring into savings at the Brick. Refresh your home with huge discount. Save up to $1,800 on sofas and sectionals, and buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game. Save up to 40% off select mattresses and score free delivery when you use your Flexity card. Plus, save 50% when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick. Proudly Canadian since 1971.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is next Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, man lifts, vacs, pickers, service, shunt, and tank trucks, plus more. Info at maauctions.com.
Measles outbreaks are occurring in Canada, including Alberta. These outbreaks are highly preventable. Measles is an extremely contagious disease that is spread easily through the air. The best way to protect yourself, your family, and your community is to ensure you are up to date with your immunizations. Don't get measles. Get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Industrial Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring Japa Equipment Rentals realignment with 5 2022 to 2020 XCMG 250U, 300U, 360U, and 490U excavators. Search Japa at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. The Oilers push. The playoffs is on, and OTR is ready to be your hockey headquarters. $5.75 Molson Canadian, 69-cent wings, and play, score, and win every game. See more at ontherocksyeg.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$4:30, rolling through. Man, the show is just flying by. How are you? It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, the second last night of the National Hockey League regular season. One game with significant playoff implications tonight. That is, well, there's 2. Tampa is taking on the Rangers. If Tampa wins, they get the number 2 seed. If they lose in regulation or whatever, then that opens the door to the Montreal Canadiens. What happens there? Also, actually, no, if Tampa gets a point, they're in. Canadiens are done. What am I saying? Duh. So, yeah, Tampa Bay just needs a point tonight, and they move on. Similar to Vegas. If Vegas gets a point, they guarantee themselves first place in the Pacific Division and a date with the Utah Mammoth. Now, a regulation loss, and that would open the door for the Edmonton Oilers to win the division. Let's see what happens. Oilers could still finish second, third, or fourth and face Colorado. The only way that happens is if they lose in regulation tomorrow and both Anaheim and LA win their games in any fashion. Still lots to be decided in the Pacific Division.
Do you want me to feed that into my bot, Jason? And
as we continue on Business of Sport, Ritch Winter joins us, and we're talking about kind of the framework for technology-driven hockey franchise. And I know we got a lot of texts and people saying, "Oh, you can't just do it with technology; it's not going to help." But there are teams doing it. It doesn't mean that the humans aren't part of it. You're still scouting, like you still need eyes on the ground, because you still have to put in the information, right? You can't. Right?
I love comments by the uninformed. How many certifications in AI do they have before they admit those kinds of? It's absolutely ridiculous. Every single one of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Golden State Warriors, the Manchester City FC, Paris Saint-Germain, they're all using it. But you're right, humans are extremely important for two reasons. AI will make mistakes. Right now, for example, there's a company that we do business with called Invisible Technologies out of Silicon Valley. And what they do is called train the large language models. Now, the large language model in the case of ChatGPT is the internet. And we all know there's errors, there's misinformation on the internet. I didn't realize till recently there's thousands of PhDs working with that company to help make sure the bot or the ChatGPT bot makes less errors. So yes, you need humans involved in the process to check it. Well, he said this about the body language. It might make a mistake in reading it, but it's very accurate in a lot of areas and gives you a lot more information. You could scrub the internet tomorrow using these bots, evaluate every single blog on the internet and determine which bloggers over the last 10 years have been very, very accurate, and perhaps use that information for questioning your scouts and understanding the holes in your scouting department might exist. They're just wrong, and the results are obvious. Now, the other part where you need the human is you're going to get a lot of information. You're going to have a lot more accurate information on the draft picks you're targeting. But in the end, you have to pick one. The bot might tell you, I like this one, and for these reasons. You're still going to have to sit down and maybe have the eye test and think about it. The biggest issue right now the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have, and I think the best example for someone who doesn't understand this, I would suggest they do a little research and punch into their own computers Con Canopal of the Charlotte Hornets and Invisible Technologies. They used video bots to review all of Con Canopal, all of the competing draft picks in that draft. They used Invisible Technologies video system. There's a system right now, the NHL uses it, and the NBA uses it a lot. It's multi-cameras. In the case of the NHL, they use it to determine whether goals cross the goal line or there's offside, right?
Yeah.
Invisible Technologies has created a new technology where they can convert two-dimensional broadcast video into a three-dimensional digital product. So you can overlay players on top of each other and analyze them compared to existing NHL players. Anybody in the planet that says that won't be helpful, measuring within minuscule parts of a millimeter, things that are happening on the ice, are out of their minds and completely under touch with the reality that we're living in. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's the individual that in the end of the day is going to have to make the decision, and we're going to have to watch them. So if you study, and we can post a couple of books people can pick up. People are so behind. They're so scared of this technology, and it's simply, you have to think about it. It's like having 5,000 of the best PhDs on the history of the world who happen to be hockey experts at your beck and call 24/7. They don't sleep. They can do whatever you want. They can scrub information that you can't even easily digest with the human mind. It's just wrong. But again, it's an interplay between it. Now it frees scouts. Now they're not doing this mundane stuff that the bots are doing and printing these reports every morning. Now it allows scouts to take their longtime expertise and focus on more productive tasks.
Yeah.
People that say that, honestly, they're idiots.
Yeah, the other big one where there's always going to be a human element that I don't believe can be replaced by any bot or AI or anything is the right culture. And it's funny, we had last night, Bones, the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, was pretty adamant that Columbus doesn't have the right culture. And it's interesting because Patrick Laine said this a year ago, and people, it's Patrick Laine. What does he know, right? He played video games so long. It's like, well, maybe he knew something, right? And it doesn't mean that they're all bad people. It just means they don't have the right culture. And building a culture is something that is, the priorities are a factor. You have to have standards, and then you have to adhere to the standards, right? I think a lot of it starts, coaches. It always helps when your great player has high standards. Because when your great player has high standards in whatever sport it is, that makes your team better, right? And it makes a coach's job easier. But, you can't use AI to help a culture, but how can you use the intelligence or researching to help a culture or help
the
build
culture? Well, there's lots of performance indicators that Michael DeVray has developed to measure culture, to measure players' ability to perform under stress, to understand and manage their stress. This is an expertise. And again, to anybody who wants to debate it, look at the Seattle Seahawks under Pete Carroll when they won the Super Bowl. They had Michael as their cultural expert. He left to do other things over the course of the last decade. One of them was working with Satya Nadella to reform the culture at Microsoft. And he came back and worked with Mike O'Donnell, and the result is what it is. Mike is, again, back to your human element. You got to have a really good coach with really good communication skills. Then you enhance what he has by bringing in someone that this is their life's work. There are people that are studying slivers of things around the planet now, and they're very good in that sliver of work that they do. They may not be able to ever give you a stock tip or tell you whether or not which particular line combination would work, but they can tell and teach a player how to manage his emotions. We had Janice Taylor on a while back about emotional fitness, measuring that stuff, understanding it. The emotional system is what, to a large degree, impacts culture because it's the way players interact. And we had that segment last year on love. The fact is, what drives championships is the love and affection between players and their coach. The ones between the players are such that they will die for each other in those messy moments where championships are won or lost. They will not be selfish. They will be focused on team and not me. And those skills are teachable, and they're not teachable by a 55-year-old hockey coach who played in the NHL at the time when he was, coached by a 60-year-old that was living, his experience is 50 years back. It's taught by leading cultural experts. They don't know how to communicate. I can't tell you how many players in the NHL that I've worked with. I ask them what their coach wants from them, and they don't know because the coaches haven't articulated. And superstars, big problem with superstars. Coaches are intimidated. What am I going to teach Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid? And so I'd like, it's important to understand that like Satya Nadella did it right. Satya, when he took over Microsoft, if you all remember, 10 years ago, I guess 10 years ago when Satya took over, we were getting pop-ups to buy Windows this and Windows that. They were not innovating. They missed cell phones. They missed everything. So his view of it, I call it Satya's hot trick. He said you got to have a clear vision. Second, you have to have the people to execute it. And third, you have to have the culture to support it. Now, in Satya's case, he went and bought 85 companies because he had nothing internally. And in this case, what you do is you don't bring in a cultural expert full-time 24/7. You go out and hire the best in the world, staff on demand, get from them what you need. And because they're working in a larger environment in their specialty, they bring a lot to the table and can execute in a very short order. Look, none of us do our taxes. Why? Why don't do them? Why not save a couple $1,000? Because we don't know what we're doing. We bring in a specialist. You bring in a cultural specialist, and that's what you need. I can't build it. Now it's built sometimes because of the way people behave. Ken Holland and I've had many conversations about culture, and he doesn't understand why he's been good at it. But he's been good at it because of the way he's treated the players. I remember reminding him that he came to me in about December 18th year Adam Ernie was here and said, I just want to give you the heads up, Adam's going down. But he said, I'm not making the move until after Christmas because Adam, I want him to be with his 3 young children for Christmas here in Edmonton. And I said, Ken, you don't think that drives culture? You don't think that message goes around the dressing room? Now, some, sort of more traditional hockey people like Ken have figured it out by osmosis, either because of his background or something he learned somewhere. He's good at culture. He didn't know what he was doing exactly, as he would admit, but that you've got to bring in it, and you can measure how people react, and they're very good at it. And I think when Michael is with the Seattle Seahawks 8 years ago or whenever it was they won their last cup, and then arrives again this year and they win Super Bowls both times, he's doing something right, and I'd certainly want to be interviewing him to get more understanding. We should have Steve back on the show to talk about this at some point.
Yeah, we should. We're going to take a final break, and when we come back, I think there's something about what we deem the right process is. Everybody has a process. There's no doubt about that, but are you doing it the right way or the wrong way? And some of these teams have figured out that there are better strategies of what we deem process. We'll discuss it next in the Gregor Show with Ritch Winter here in Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All-Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All-Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrovacking, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep. Since 2009, All-Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All-Star Construction is all about.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or the McDonald's app and dig into instant savings. Plus, you earn points towards
Free McDonald's.
Now that's what I call
a double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value for a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Good to go. With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. Mortgagestogo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say, good to go. Sleep is for the off-season. What off-season? Sports 1440 is live, loud, and locked 24/7. Oilers, Elks, Riverhawks, Stingers, Oil Kings. We've got your picks. Edmonton's home for sports is Sports 1440.
It's the EV for City Wildlife, the all-new, all-electric 2026 Subaru Uncharted. Quick charging with get-up-and-go performance. And best of all, so much fun. So test drive the all-new, all-electric 2026 Uncharted today and discover why it's definitely the Subaru for you. The EV for City Wildlife. To learn more about this very exciting arrival and all things Subaru, start here. Subaru.ca. Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru.
This May, look for your census letter in the mail. The information you provide helps plan services in your community that support employment, transit, education, healthcare, and more. It's easy to fill out and completely confidential. Find out more at census.gc.ca. Your census, your community, our future. A message from the Government of Canada.
The puck is passed up through the neutral zone, and here's a breakaway. He's coming in hot. He shoots it. Oh no, a broken stick.
When it comes to performance, quality parts matter. Napa Auto Parts has all the reliable parts, tools, and more to keep your vehicle running like a playoff contender. With over 85 locations in Alberta, visit your local Napa store today or shop online at napacanada.com. That's Napa know-how.
It's like a locker room, minus the smell.
Ew.
Kevin Carius brings the banter, the buzz, and the bold sports talk. Weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Sports 1440, Edmonton's home for sports.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
#46 as we continue on the business of sport today. We're talking about the future hockey franchise and following in the footsteps of teams that are already doing this in other pro sports, in the NBA and MLB, in Premier League, and over in Europe, in soccer, in cricket, that they've got some pillars in place. The teams are doing this. And one of the last steps, of course, are the right processes. And if you look at it, one of the key things that teams who eventually win the cup, what they're good at is they identify and acquired undervalued player assets consistently. All you got, look at the Florida Panthers. Just look at Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart. Look at what you had to give up to get them. Hardly any, like second-round picks. What? Reinhart became
even gets worse.
Goals in the playoffs for you, right? Like that's unreal, and that is so. You look at that, and part of that would be scouting, Rich, but also part of it would be using the data available to plug in to give you the most data to say, where is a player that we can get? And the other thing is, and this is where the human element comes in, because you would know this, you talk to lots of GMs, when certain teams undervalue a type of player. Just everybody has a bias. Everybody has a bias. I have a bias. Ritch Winter has a bias. Connor Halley has a bias. Every listener has a bias, and that's okay. And we view players differently automatically. And so the key is to find the one that says, oh, you know what? They don't really value this third line center the way we do. And we're going to get him. And guess what? We'll offer him a second round pick and he's going to be tickled pink. And we're going to be ecstatic. Like I look at the Michael Handzus acquisition in 2013 doesn't get talked about enough. That was the trade that helped Chicago win the Stanley Cup. They gave up a fourth rounder to get Handzus, who was their second line center throughout the playoffs.
Well, it's all true. I think it's actually in some ways more basic than that. There are actually standard biases that we all know exist. And what I would do, like we know that players that produce that don't skate well get drafted later. We know that small defensemen from European countries get drafted later than their ultimate production as an NHL player would suggest. So I would be asking my scouts, like you talk about process, I would be doing all of the AI related research to get as much information as I could, but I would want to ask them, tell me in your territory, who are the best 5 of these guys that don't skate well, but produce guys, all the guys we just named. That's where they are. We hear it all the time about goaltending. Oh, goaltending's a gong show. I don't know. Can you imagine any other organization saying one of their most key employees, they have no idea how to evaluate them? It's mind-boggling to me. And guys like Steve Valiquette, who we've had on the show, absolutely know how to do that. And so I think it's developing processes that help you understand. Now, it's fascinating when you think of a hockey team. And we joke about this amongst ourselves as agents, but players are held accountable every night. You can have 100 fans call you tomorrow about a game last night, and they'll give you a reasonably accurate assessment of what happened. They'll be informed. They played hockey. They understand it fairly well. A coach is evaluated, by 10 game segments, maybe by a year. A GM is evaluated over 5 or 6 years. They should be looking at all kinds of process measurements. For example, speed from entry level to NHL, development speed, and various other different types of returns. So you can measure someone like Brad Treliving in Calgary 5 years before the mistake manifests. You've got to have that. And it's important to change processes to make sure you have information collected and processes in place to measure the capabilities of the people that work for you. NHL teams don't do it. It's mind-boggling to me, but understandable, that most NHL team owners, they've made billions in other businesses, that what gives them the resources to buy an NHL team. And then they listen to things like, well, hockey's different. No, hockey's not different. It's a real estate investment trust. You acquire underdeveloped assets, or undervalued, get that piece of property before it gets rezoned, get that player who can't skate that well but produces, Vinny Prospal, right? Get that small player that's bought out, Marty Straka, and see him score 93 points a year. Have access and understand the market, then improve and develop your real estate. In this case, it's players, and then manage them. Don't sign them to long-term deals at 35 and get stuck with that. So it's mind-boggling that they accept this. And so until the teams that have been successful, private equity firm bought Guggenheim Harpers, series of private equity investors bought the Golden State Warriors, a couple of sheiks bought Manchester City with a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of talented people around them. They just ran their businesses like they did their other businesses and didn't buy into the garbage. Ooh, it's different here. It's like touching. You got to have a feel for it, Feel schmeal. It's a bunch of freaking garbage that people use in management to be held unaccountable. And then everybody gets upset that Tom Dundon's actually getting involved in his business. Like, people are genuinely angry about that. Well, the guy's an operator. He's made billions of dollars operating companies. And he says to all of us, Rich, I'm an operator. I bought a company. I'm going to operate it. And actually, Rich, I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And he is. He hasn't won the So ultimately, until these owners wake up and treat hockey teams like their own businesses, fans are going to be upset. And here's the real problem that's coming for ownership and for management. AI is available to all of us. It's going to become more accessible. People are going to get more familiar. Not going to say stupid things like it doesn't help when they don't even know what it does. They're going to start to understand it, and they're going to start to use it to evaluate. They're going to start calling shows like yours, and they're going to have information that will all of a sudden start circulating. And you and I will be talking about what some young guy from Mumbai who fell in love with the game of hockey, who's in some Mumbai Technical Institute, when he visited Toronto, he found it to be a way better game than the field hockey he played, and he'll be throwing out things on some internet site that will be transformative. These technology doesn't develop at the big companies, even the Microsofts of the world at times. It develops in a garage where a guy like Steve Jobs and whatever the other guy's name was, created something different. And we're going to find through the internet that there's going to be the ability for much more information to circulate. And if teams aren't prepared to access it by having systems in place to access that information when it's available, they'll fall behind. And you know what? AI is traveling so fast. When your hockey team falls behind, it is never catching up.
Lastly, do you get a sense that there's a few NHL teams that are ahead of the curve on this already?
Not dramatically ahead, but yes, there's some that are moving towards certainly a lot more data. The data is helpful. It's more descriptive. Like, this is what happens when we do this. It's not as predictive as artificial intelligence is, but you're hearing of teams moving towards this direction. And if Tom Dundon and his crew is 5 years ahead of everybody else in data analysis, they're going to be 10 years ahead of everybody else in AI at some point, because they're looking at these kinds of things. They're not letting the Toronto Maple Leafs interview Eric Tulsky because they have a pretty good one. Like, everybody else will let the other teams interview their best talent. Why are we doing that? I wouldn't. I signed a guy for a 5-year deal. He's a stud. He's staying here. I don't care if he's a player or a scout or assistant general manager, and I'm going to try and extend him before somebody else wants him again. And so run your business like the rest of your businesses, and do a favor to your fans who have been, look at every year. It's not like the old days that every year, it used to be 8 teams didn't make the playoffs. Now half of them don't. And it's hard to come back if you don't make mistakes. So the big issue for Toronto right now is using whatever technological resources they have access to. And we should talk about Concanopal, because it's amazing how that came about and how they selected him, and how he, despite his small size and relative draft position in terms of projections, is going to be probably the rookie of the year this year in the NBA. It's amazing. But the Toronto Maple Leafs are now, maybe they're going to get, if they lose tonight, they get a top 5 pick, right? Maybe. They could be a 6, but they're going to get a 6.
It depends on the lottery, yep.
It could be a 1. It could be a 1 to a 6. So, and they just got, from 2 weeks ago, they had no picks in the first and second round. Now they could have a top 5 pick, potentially. Maybe a number 1 pick overall. And they're going to have a second round pick. Now, the questions they have to ask themselves is, because we all know quite often, especially this draft, which is fairly spread out, there's not the studs like the McDavids at the top end. Should I trade for 9 and 15? Right? They're going to have to look at those things, because they're now in a position with maybe trading some of the aging assets that they have now for picks and prospects, and then doing very well in this draft, that's going to be maybe lead to a rapid turnaround. And you know, one thing I hate the two words retool and rebuild. Well, I like to use the word renovate, because until you get into an organization like the Toronto Maple Leafs or any other organization which you might be taking over, you know, we all had a renovation. I was told it was 25 grand until we ripped up the floorboards and figured out like the cancer that was underneath. In this case, the culture is worse than we thought it was, and other problems we didn't know about. You can't say rebuild or retool. You renovate, and you renovate by doing a complete detailed analysis of your organization and figure out if the termites have got into the half the building, all of the building, or none of the building. Because anybody that talks about retool or rebuild without the facts is like the idiots that shouldn't say these are our customers, but the guys writing on how that AI won't help. You got to have at least the basic information as what's wrong with your organization, what's wrong with the house, under the flooring, before you start actually deciding what you need to do.
Well, Rich, I can tell you flat out, Toronto can get all the picks they want until they change the culture of their team and have a tough team to play against. It's not going to matter. That's They had a decade of a team that was very skilled, and as the head coach of Columbus said yesterday, like when it gets hard, that's when it's hard to win. The playoffs are much harder to win. Down the stretch in the final 3 weeks of the season, it's much harder to win than it is in the first 3 weeks of the season. And I look at Toronto, they couldn't figure out their guy. Like I look at Austin Matthews, and he's a highly skilled player, and he's a very good defensive player. But when was the time that Austin Matthews made other guys around him better, or Austin Matthews would take a game over by himself emotionally? You see that Nathan McKinnon does it. Connor McDavid does it. Leon Draisaitl does it. Right? Like those guys will take a game over just with their will. And I've never seen that from him. And I don't see it from but
it comes back to the basics. First, you need a lot of information, whether it's AI generated or otherwise, to pick the best character guys, the guys that have that in their DNA. And then you don't sit in your hands. You bring in experts to help them learn more how to develop that. And you're absolutely right. And Phil Jackson said it best. And I should send you the quote. You can post it online. It basically talks about if you can have all of these elements, but if you don't have a culture of love, respect, and support and trust among the people you're in the trenches with, like Navy SEALs will tell you, they know who doesn't make it, Jason. The big, strong guy doesn't make it necessarily. The former college quarterback doesn't make it as a Navy SEAL. It's the guy who, when the going gets tough, when he's exhausted after 36 hours in some hole, completely surrounded by water in the dark of night, will risk his life to save his buddy. And if you can't draft players that have elements of that, you're Toronto. You don't win.
Yeah. I know some people think it's a culture's over. You need skill. There's no doubt you need skill, but there's lots of teams that have skill. So then do you have the guys who are willing to go above and beyond for their teammates or themselves in a tough situation?
Well, like we know, we've heard that saying, talent or hard work trumps talent every time talent doesn't work hard. And we've seen hundreds of examples over the course of sports history where underdogs won because they had Dwayne Rollison and he just played out of his mind at one point. Or I thought last year, I said to Stan Bowman, like, who are those guys on the second, third, and fourth line last year in the playoffs? They weren't the same guy during the play that they were during the regular season, but that group of guys last year turned it up. Were they inspired by Connor and his passion? Were they inspired by the fact they wanted their captain who gives so much to win the cup that he coveted? I don't know what it was, but when push came to shove last year, everybody was on the game. That includes Calvin Pickard, right? Who was there when they needed him. And the goaltenders delivered to a degree, but that group fought for each other. And we saw it with the Blue Jays. They loved each other. They loved playing with each other, loved being with each other. They wanted to win for each other. And when you want to win for yourself, you might be able to pull a team along with you, but when you want to win for each other, that's why Dennis Rodman becomes a star in Chicago, because they had the culture to bring him in. Most importantly, Phil Jackson didn't suspend him when he said he wanted a week off to go in Vegas and honestly told him that he was stressed and overwhelmed by the pressure. Phil loved him. And when you love people, you work to understand them like you would with your children. He understood Dennis, treated him differently. Like we all have, if we have a number of kids, we don't treat them all the same if you want to have the best results. And at the end of the day, Dennis grew up in very difficult circumstances, didn't expect people to love him. He didn't feel lovable. Those types of people lash out. Dennis was one of them. But when the coach gave him the love and support and respect that he earned as an athlete and would often screw up as a human, boy, when, like Michael will tell you, boy, when he came to the building, he was all businessmen. And they used that, motivated him with love and affection throughout the lineup, respected him, trusted him, despite his goofy hair colors and behaviors and all of that. And they won. And Michael will tell you, we don't win one of those last 3 trophies without Rodman. He's a scientist. He's the best in the world that ever did what he did. But he wouldn't have been there in probably 31 hockey teams. Because he had a guy show up like that in a junior hockey camp in the Western Hockey League or in a pro camp. I don't like his chances. And that's unfortunate because if you have a culture, you understand you can bring in a Randy Moss, right? No problem. We got a culture here. We can bring in that guy and absorb it. Culture is important because, like I said a minute ago, it's proven that when you're surrounded by high performers, your performance will improve. If you're surrounded by low performance, your performance will dramatically decrease. That's culture, and it's measurable, and it's foundational.
Ritch, great stuff, man. As always, we appreciate it. And we'll put some of that stuff out there. Again, we will have yourself a great week. Enjoy the playoffs. I hear a little bird told me that Calvin Pickard might be coming up to Edmonton after the regular season's over. So,
how about I make a prediction? Calvin Pickard will play more games than Ingram. And I think he'll be. I think if they make it to the finals, Calvin will start in at least 10 games.
10 games? Come on, that's a little bit too much. All right.
Last year, how many did he start last year?
1, 2, 6, 7. I think it was 6 or 7.
I thought it was 8, but let's. I'm
maybe it was 8.
Go with 10.
Yeah, because I thought it was 4.
He's a pro.
No.
He was one of those guys. He's one of those guys. Everybody in that room knows they can rely on Calvin Pickard when they need him. That's a valuable thing, and we'll see where that takes him. But I think we'll see a goalie falter. I don't care if it's either one of them. I mean, there's a good chance they will. Calvin will answer the bell because Calvin has that DNA, that little piece of DNA that seems to have him perform when the chips are on the line. It's Grant. Remember Grant Fuhr? Regular season, even in playoff games, he always let that bad goal in. But when you needed a stop, Grant was there, and that was Calvin for the most part, more so last year than the year before. He'll play. He'll be here. He'll be contributing, and hopefully the Oilers will. I kind of like what I see lately, the way they're playing without Leon. I think that's probably a good opportunity for them to kind of regroup and get more confidence in themselves. So maybe this is the year.
We shall see. Long ways to go, but we'll got to find out who they'll play. They need a win tomorrow night and to ensure home ice advantage, and then we'll go from there. Rich, have yourself a great week. We'll talk again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's
Enjoy the snow. Enjoy the snow.
Sports, Calvin Pickard did start 7 games. Now, he did play in relief in a few others, but he started 7 games. I don't see him starting 10 games this year, I'll tell you that. But who knows? We'll see. Be a fun wager, but I don't see that up. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Northgate Buick GMC, where you can stop in if you're looking for a new vehicle. No pressure. Stop in the brand new Autoplex massive indoor sale. Oh, you need it right now. Trust me, you'll be warm. Go car shopping this weekend, NorthgateGM.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
6 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. You got Sabres, Stars, Rangers, Lightning, Panthers host the Wings, Maple Leafs in Send in Ottawa, and the Send Sharks taking on the Blackhawks. Vegas can clinch top spot in the Pacific with 1 point as they host the Kraken just after 8 o'clock. In the association, you got Sixers and Magic at 5:30. Then at 8, Warriors head to LA to take on the Clippers. Major League Baseball, Toronto Blue Jays looking to make it 2 straight over the Brewers. They meet at 5:40. We'll have that one for you here on Sports 1440 on our AM feed only. Couple games underway right now. Pirates on top of the Nationals 2-0, and the Phillies lead the Cubs 1-0. Giants in Cincy trailing the Reds 4-0 in the second. Royals and Tigers are scoreless in the PWHL. Toronto in New York, Boston hosting Minnesota. Those games both starting shortly. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Andrew Knoll will join us to look at the Ducks, and we'll hear Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Booster Juice is going crazy for hazelnuts.
No, not crazy. Nuts.
Booster Juice is going bananas for hazelnuts.
I mean, there are bananas in smoothies, but that's not the point.
Banana juice is booster for hazelnuts.
What? Just stop.
Booster Juice is going nuts for hazelnut. Introducing the Nutty Monkey Smoothie, Holy Hazelnut Acai Bowl, and Nutty Booster Ball, all made with rich, creamy hazelnut spread. Try them today, only at Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Welcome to Silent Ice Center, the region's newest hockey and event center in Nisku. Featuring 2 NHL-size ice surfaces, premium seating, private suites, and an electric atmosphere. From elite hockey to major tournaments, concerts, and special events, this is where the action lives. And with Summit Restaurant overlooking the rink, every event is a full experience. Silent Ice Center, built for champions, built for the community. Book your ice, your event, or your next big night at Silent Ice Center. Email booking at silenticecenter.com.
Mr. Rooter sees a UFO.
Mr. Rooter says 1 plunge, 2. What's this? A UFO? An unidentified floating object. It's beginning to glow and levitate.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter. You have freed us from the gravity of the white hole. Humanity will be spared.
Wow! People aren't going to believe this when I put it in our new commercial.
If you want to believe in a plumber, call Mr. Rooter.
When life unexpectedly changes, it can leave us feeling unbalanced, uncertain, and unsure of how to move forward. But you don't have to go through it alone. I'm Corey Anderson with Fairway Divorce Solutions. Our team helps reestablish balance, guiding you through your divorce with compassion, clarity, and support. Fairway has helped more than 6,500 families across Canada find a path towards a peaceful, fair resolution. With 2 offices in Edmonton, we're here to make your journey easier. Discover your options at Fairway Divorce.
You matter. Your mental health matters, and you're braver than you think. Not Alone is an organization focused on creating a space of acceptance and support through tough, meaningful conversation. Use code 1440 for 15% off at notaloneco.com. It's okay to not be okay.
Spring into savings at The Brick. Refresh your home with huge discounts. Save up to $1,800 on sofas and sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game and save up to 40% off select mattresses and score free delivery when you use your Flexity card. Plus, save 15% when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, proudly Canadian since 1971.
Hi everyone, Sarah
and Neil
from Arcan RV.
We are back and we're celebrating spring with Arcan Days.
Well, we were always here. We've been around for 49 years.
That's true. We're kicking off another amazing RV season with some huge deals, showcasing our new brand, Cougar, Raptor Toy Haulers, and Coleman Trailers starting at just $17,999.
Plus, special finance rates on remaining 2025 models with an extra $2,500 trade-in credit. Check out arcanrv.com for details. Connecting you to RVing since 1977.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa Service Department is here for you. Get a quote now at japamachinery.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
$5.11. How are you on a lovely Wednesday? I know it's not that lovely outside, but hey, we're alive. We're on the right side of the dirt. So, hey, maybe it's not the best, but it could always be worse. Could always be worse. So, hopefully, if you're not having a great day, tomorrow will be better. That's what I hope for you. Maybe even tonight will be better. Who knows? Maybe something simple like a meal that cheers you up. Who knows? Maybe you'll watch the Seattle Kraken, who, if I'm not, I got to double check this, but I think the Kraken have actually defeated Vegas when they played them every game this year. I got to double check that to be accurate, because I don't want to spew a falsehood. But yes, Seattle is 3-0 this season against Vegas. Dare to dream, including beating them. Now, Vegas did get a point when they beat them earlier this month, but they beat them in January. They beat them in October. 2-1, 3-2, and a 4-3 shootout win. And Seattle sweep the Golden Knights. Could you imagine? That would be a kick in the junk for the Golden Knights. And then it would open the door for the Edmonton Oilers to possibly get a victory tomorrow night against the Vancouver Canucks. And make no mistake, the Vancouver Canucks got a whole lot of nothing to play for, but they beat the Kings last night. The Oilers beat Vancouver 6-0, 3-1, and lost to them way back early in October. So they'll try to go 3-1 against the Canucks this season. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Who do you like tonight? MLB, NHL, NBA. We got a trifecta for you to check it out. The Jason Gregor Show specials, and get your tickets. Lotto 649 tonight. $28 million up for grabs. Get your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca. Now let's get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists. And they are hiring. If you're looking to want to work for a fantastic company, great benefits, great opportunity to grow your career, gsconstruction.ca, and look up careers. As Mark Spector joins us, as he always does, 5 o'clock hour. Spec, how you doing?
5 o'clock hour, baby. Never late, never absent.
No, it's true.
Should be up in Marmot skiing. They got 22 CMs this week, buddy.
Ooh, geez. Yeah, well, were you just there last week?
Yeah, well, that was last week. The spring skiing this year will be better in the mountains than it's been in forever.
Yeah.
But of course, we'd rather be covering a long playoff run, Jay, and I have a feeling there will be a couple of weeks of playoffs minimum around here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, speaking of spring ski, my wife and her friend were just there on, and would agree with you. My brother-in-law, they all went and had a little honoring their late father. It's kind of something that they wanted because they used to ski together as a family, so that was pretty fun.
Oh,
and, yeah. You look at the order spec, honestly, like all I know is, like, I think Anaheim would be the best matchup for the Edmonton Oilers. Then I think Utah, then probably LA. Now Colorado would obviously be the worst. So, just get a point and then you don't have to play Colorado. But there's no guarantees. Like the Oilers, Zach Hyman's going to come back in the lineup tomorrow night. Like that's a big boost for the Edmonton Oilers, not only tomorrow, but for the playoffs. And, Hyman, you were there. He talked about how it was nothing bad. It just needed to get better and taking a few weeks off. Now he feels it's better. And he can contribute at a level that he wants to. Because I think we all know that the deeper you go in the playoff spec, skill is a big factor for sure, and will's a big factor, but availability is a massive factor.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, like every step this team takes, everything they do is driven by experience from their last two playoff runs. What does it take to have the most left at the end of 2 months of playoff hockey? Right. And they have had 2 tries, haven't won, but they've got a lot of experience at, trying to figure it out. So I feel like all season long has been an effort of trying to play well enough and work hard enough and do all the things to put yourself in a position to, obviously to make the playoffs and be in a good spot, but don't expend too much of whatever we want to call it, whether it's energy, whether it's, I don't know what it is. Just save as much as you can. Right. That's kind of how I feel they've played it. I think we learned, like, Hyman was a different guy last year. He led the playoffs in hits. That's not a Zach Hyman we've seen before. And I feel like Hyman said, okay, that worked. Like, me being that guy helped us win. Absolutely. And I can't be that guy if I've got whatever it is he had. I can't be that guy if I take this into the playoffs. I need some rest before it starts. So I kind of feel like that's what he's trying to get back to being. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see his hits start ramping up tomorrow night against Vancouver.
Yes, well, you know what? Hey, they got a few other guys down the lineup. Doc brings that. Frederick brings it. Podkolzin. And I think you need a host of different guys to do it for sure. But Hyman also brings a pretty good scoring ability, which lately Spec, outside of like when McDavid's not on the ice, they haven't scored lately. It's a short, I know it's only a few games, but they're going to need a few guys to get going offensively tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that this is sort of almost the start of the playoffs tomorrow. Like this is it's not a must-win game. Who knows? They might not even be playing for fourth place in the division tomorrow. We don't even know that yet. But this is a game that I think you feel like you have to win. And this Oilers team, I don't want to sound like a cocky guy or someone who thinks the Oilers are the best team since sliced bread or any of that stuff. I'd bet you my truck they're going to beat Vancouver tomorrow, right? I don't think this collection of players at this stage, put it this way, Jay, It's 2011. The Oilers are not a very good team yet, and Vancouver's coming to town, and they got to win, or we're going into Vancouver. They got the Sedins. They're a Stanley Cup team. They're a contender. They got Luongo in goal. They're as good as they've ever been. Would we have sat here on the radio and thought for even a nanosecond that the Oilers were going to walk into Vancouver and beat that team in 2010, 2009, 2011? No, we wouldn't have. And I think the same way about this Vancouver team. They're not getting a sniff tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't. That's for sure, right? You look at the lines and, Szymanski staying with Doc and Frederick and the Henrique lines together. Now you've got, Hyman, Savoy, and McDavid. And then you put Nugent Hopkins with Podkolzin and Roslovic. And I watched Draisaitl today, Spec, really closely. And I thought he pushed himself a lot harder in practice today than he did earlier in the week, which is a good sign. I know he's not going to play tonight, and I don't know if that means he's ready for sure for game one, but he's clearly getting closer. I think it's not a matter of if he'll play, it's just a matter of when he'll play in the first round.
Yeah, well, that's good. Usually, like at this point, they're trying to impress the training staff.
Yeah.
At this point, they're trying to push themselves as hard as they can, wake up tomorrow and not be sore and say, hey, look, I just went as hard as I could and I feel great on the next day. So good news. He's obviously, so he doesn't play against Vancouver, but he'll be, having him come back will be not only a massive boost to your power play and your second line and your entire top six, but mentally, confidence wise, putting this guy back in the dressing room and the Oilers are getting ready for a game and he's going up there to play. Every single guy in that room gets just a little better because they know they're, I guess their second best player, but the best player on about, 27 teams in the league is among them. That'll be a big one.
Yeah. Mark Spector joined us here on Sports 1440. The Ducks are obviously the team you want to play, Spec. They couldn't beat Minnesota last night. Minnesota, just for our audience, this is who Minnesota did not dress. Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, Zuccarello, Hartman, Eriksson Ek. And I'm missing one. There's another top
Faber.
six. Faber, Quinn, and Spurgeon. All of them. Foligno was the other one. 6 forwards, 5 of their top 6 forwards, 3 of their top defensemen, and they still lost. The Ducks are in a world of trouble right now.
Yeah, they are. They're not, we've known this. Again, this goes back to the Oilers kind of, parsing their season up. It's so much about how you're playing going into the playoffs, right? It's so much. How's your game doing over the last 10 days? The Oilers love their game, and they're doing it without 2 of their best players. They're very happy with their game. They need to score some goals, but they got 2 goal scorers out. Anaheim's the opposite. They've lost their game, and time's ticking here. They got, game 82's coming. Hell, they may be the team that ends up in Colorado when this thing's all said and done. So, I don't worry about the Oilers. There's only one route that nobody wants to go, and that's through the Central Division, starting with Colorado. That's just suicide. No one wants that to happen in that dressing room. I don't think anyone cares that much if you play LA or you play Anaheim or whoever you play, and whether you open at home and on the road, all of that stuff, we can argue over a beer. but there's no arguing about being in 4th place in the Pacific and flying into Denver for game 1, man. That is a suicidal trip you're going to make.
Yes, no one wants that. There's no debate about that, Spec. What did you make of Mr. Bones and his post-game comments about the Columbus Blue Jackets last night?
Well, you know what? Like, I have a lot of respect for Rick Bowness. It's, it's like hearing I'm trying to think of a good analogy. If a guy who's been an electrician professionally for 40 years and he walks in and he looks at my electrical and says, "It's a mess, buddy," I think I believe him. If my auto mechanic who's 60 and has been in the business since he was 20 says, "Your car's a mess, pal," I think I believe him. So what, the people out there who are telling me that Rick Bowness isn't right, like, Rick Bowness is right. He's been in a million dressing rooms in all kinds of organizations. He's seen a million different, all the team dynamics that there are in hockey. He's had great leaders. He's had crappy leaders. He's had good teams. He's had bad teams. He's been a coach for, the most of any coach. And now he just spent 2 months inside that dressing room, and that's his diagnosis. So Rick Bowness is right. Like, is anyone arguing that?
Well, there's a few people. And the interesting thing, Spec, is I think a lot of people forgot that this was brought up before, but a lot of people kiboshed it because
of the source.
It was Patrick Laine.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's Patrick Laine? What does he know?
Yeah.
But so clearly there's something there. And I saw the, Werenski and others today say, hey, you know what, we care. And it's more about not knowing how to win. And there might be some truth to that. But there's also a little bit of truth that sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you really believe you're working hard. But you cannot go down the stretch and lose 6 games in a row on home ice and tell us that it's because you don't know how to win. I'm sorry, that's garbage.
No, all of these guys came, won their way up to be great players. Boone Jenner, 1st round pick. Werenski, didn't he come through that American development system? Anyway, like, any NHL team, the 4th line slugger was the best guy in his team back in the day. Mm-hmm. So these guys have won in their lives. They've spent a lifetime in the game and reached the pinnacle, which is the NHL. So they should know sometimes you just don't have a good enough team to win. And that's been the case in Columbus most of the time. But I don't buy this, we think we're doing it the right way, but we're not, and we don't realize it. That's garbage. That's, come on. Does anyone believe that? Like, Werenski's been part of Team USA. He should have learned how to win there a little bit. It's filled with winners, not just this year, but guys who have won cups and awards and NCAA titles and minor league titles. And you hang around that group, you're surrounded by success. Now you're telling me all of a sudden, now you think I know how to win, but I'm not so sure. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So do you think he could go back? I think he could still coach there next year. I don't see why one post-game rant, because trust me, there's no coach goes on a rant like that without having talked to the players beforehand about it. Right. And I don't buy that for a second. So I think he could coach there next year. And actually, I wouldn't mind having him coach there next year. Do you think he will? Do you think
the school of thought says that's the guy you want to coach there next year?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think if I let's play it this way. So you're the GM, and who's the GM there? Don Waddell?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're Don Waddell, and you're trying to make the decision about, do I bring Bones back or do I go find a new coach? I think, before I do anything, I do my exit interviews and I get a feel from my players. Was he a good coach? What did you think? What do you guys think? Will the team revolt if I bring this guy back? And maybe that's even more reason to bring him back. But I think I'd do my, I'd ask around, I'd do my due diligence, but off the top, I think I'm absolutely leaning towards bringing Rick Bowness back into my fold if I'm Don Waddell, man. Like, I want someone who's going to get the best out of these guys. I don't want some guy they've been fooling and who thinks, oh, we're this close, and, oh, my guys tried hard. They were close. I don't want that guy. So yeah, off the first hop, I'm bringing them back. You bet.
All right. Spec, we'll see if Seattle can make it interesting with a victory tonight, because if Vegas gets 1 point, they clinch first place. They're guaranteed second place in the Pacific. So we'll see if they can.
We'll have that game on, buddy.
We'll see. Have a good one.
All right, man.
There you go. That's Mark Speck for the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. And hey, how many of you? I know there's lots of you that are in baseball fantasy. How many of you had Sal Stewart? Did you pick him up in fantasy? He just hit his 12th home run of the year. Right? Unreal. Guys, killing it. No, sorry, not 12. It's his 12th in his first 36 games. He's got a home run every 3 games. He's absolutely killing it. 6 RBIs today. If you don't have Sal Stewart, fantasy baseball players, you might want to get him. Take a quick break. We'll return. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Expand your brand with Fusion Promo Marketing. Fusion is your trusted partner for all things branded merch and apparel. Thousands of products perfect for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lottery, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play.
Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design, build, sketching strategy, from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or on the McDonald's app and dig into instant savings. Plus, you earn points towards
free McDonald's.
Now that's what I call
a double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value for a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
From the first pitch to the final out, catch Toronto Blue Jays baseball games live right here. Don't miss a moment of Blue Jays baseball this season. Sports 1440 is proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball.
This summer, it's coming. An unstoppable force that will turn your home into the Sweatbox.
Don't live in a summer blockbuster. Pro Solutions is your one-call solves-it-all expert for AC repairs, tune-ups, and new installations. With fast appointments and flexible financing, we'll make sure your home story has a comfortable ending. AC season is coming soon, so book today.
Lock in pre-season pricing today.
Visit prosolutionsinc.ca to schedule your service today.
It's here. The Ford, it's a big Not yet. The Ford, it's a big deal. Oh, guys, just wait. The Ford It's a Big Deal event is on. Really? Now! Hurry in to lease a 2026 F-150 STX with black adherence package from $237 bi-weekly at 0% APR for 36 months with $54.90 down. That's like $119 a week. The Ford It's a Big Deal event. Visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring backhoes, excavators, forklifts, man lifts, wheel loaders, packers, road reclaimers, skid steers, telehandlers, turf mowers, plus commercial trailers and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Sherwood Honda is home of the GOAT. That's their greatest offer all time. And they have plenty of pre-owned GOATs that they got on a trade. Every used vehicle they sell goes through a 182-point inspection and comes with a vehicle history report. Because peace of mind is an essential part of getting your GOAT. And Sherwood Honda sure would want you to buy with complete confidence.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved industrial auction is next Friday at 9 a.m. featuring Japa equipment rentals, realignment with 5 2022 to 2020 XCMG 250U, 300U, 360U, and 490U excavators. Search Japa at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork, made in Canada, made for Canada, where extreme isn't theoretical. Find your solution at cantork.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely, lovely day. I know it's snowy, but it's going to melt. Playoffs are coming. That we know for sure. Playoffs are coming. They start Saturday. When do the orders start? Sunday, maybe. I don't rule out Monday. I'm just saying, don't rule out Monday or a start for the Edmonton Oilers. Who they play? Who knows? They could play the Anaheim Ducks. And we'll discuss the Ducks, who have been floundering a little bit here down the stretch as we get around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox. Your latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value. Only available until May 4th at participating McDonald's in Western Canada. And the Anaheim Ducks not playing tonight. They will wrap up their season tomorrow in Nashville. The Ducks, like the Oilers, want to win, because then that means they don't play Colorado. The Ducks own the tiebreaker over the Kings, so a Ducks win. Doesn't matter what the Kings do, and they will be in third, maybe in second, depending what happens to the Oilers. Andrew Knoll joins us from the Daily News in LA, beat reporter for the Ducks. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. What's happened to the Quackers here down the stretch? Like 1-6-2 in their last 9 games, and they're losing to a lot of non-playoff teams down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, they just lost to sort of the Iowa Wild more than the Minnesota Wild. I mean, they were resting double-digit guys from their regular lineup. I think that was probably one of the better games they played during this funk, but you don't want to give up 3 goals to kind of a preseason split squad type roster. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this all year, that they're very streaky. They have enough forward depth and skill to outscore their problems. They get down in games and they come back. They can piece together long streaks. They had a couple 7-game winning streaks, but they also had a 9-game losing streak. Now this is 8 out of 9. Very unusual dynamic to their season and kind of a unusual roster construction too. So we'll see which team shows up in the playoffs. Obviously, it's hard to bet on a real quick turn on a dime type improvement, especially as you get through 82 games and guys are wearing all the bumps and bruises that brings.
Yes. No, that's fair. What about the health of their team? Where are they on that front?
Well, availability is good. They got Gauthier and Gudis back a couple games ago in the overtime loss to Vancouver. So, they've got pretty much all their guys. They'll be getting Ross Johnston and Jansen Harkins back, likely for the playoffs. They had been kind of an important part of their fourth line. But, they have essentially their full complement of players. Now, what condition those players are in is always a different story. You've got a handful of guys that are either coming off of injuries, had some late in the season, or you just have a lot of cumulative wear and tear that you look at the player they were in Game 5 versus Game 75, and it's pretty disparate. So we'll see what they get in terms of form from guys like Troy Terry and Chris Kreider, who aren't necessarily on the injury list, but have had some physical limitations, and they're not the only ones. But you look around the league, nobody's feeling spry at this point.
So you look at the line, obviously, like Edmonton, they're going to be playing to win tomorrow night. So I'm assuming it's Dostal that's going to get the start. Reading his game, he was great early. They give up a ton, and lately they've been giving up a ton, and he just hasn't been able to save them as much as he has early in the year. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I mean, he had I would say during the 9-game losing streak, I think he had 6 of those losses. I'd have to go back and confirm that. But I didn't think his game had slipped per se, but there were, he wasn't doing spectacular things. And that's probably been the assessment I would give for the whole season, where last year he was consistently, jockeying around the top 10 and goals save above expected. That just hasn't happened this year. So,
right.
Definitely his performance has leveled out. His workload's been similar, a little heavier than last year. But, the main thing is that we just haven't seen him be consistently spectacular, which is a hard ask for a goalie, especially over the course of a full season. But yeah, you wouldn't say, had they last year gone from the fringes and made the playoffs somehow, you would have said, wow, this is a real strength of their team. This year, he said, well, let's see how he performs under the bright lights.
Andrew Knoll joins us. Andrew, Pat Verbeek just signed an extension. I think the Ducks are excited about where they're going in the future. They do have to improve defensively, no question, as a team. But how much do you think, a lot of people say fear could be the best motivator. And the fear of having to go to Colorado for the opening game, I know that the Oilers aren't an easy out, and neither would Vegas necessarily be an easy out. But I think everybody in the league would say, well, based on how the previous 82 games have gone, Colorado would be the least of the choices of who to play. How much do you think that motivates them tomorrow night?
It's hard to say. You think about fear as a motivator, stakes as a motivator. That really has not shown through with them. It hasn't really been impressed upon them, apparently, because they had a 5-game lead on the division when this started. They were 5 up on Edmonton when you guys were in second place. So if there were a sense of urgency, a sense of importance, the possibilities breathing down their neck, I think they probably would have turned it on before now. And you look at some of the games in this streak, the Nashville game that were totally dead out there, the St. Louis game that ended their winning streak, that was another one where they just really got shown up. Toronto game, they collapsed as it went on. Toronto was more concerned with vengeance than winning, and they still ended up winning the game. So, I think you look at these guys, the guys who know how to handle the circumstances, aren't in big enough roles and or quite good enough physical shape to impress themselves upon the game. And then a lot of the newer players, not all of them. I think Carlson has shown a lot of leadership during the stretch. He's really tried to, make plays on his own, but in a prudent way. But there's a number of guys who look like the lights are a little too bright for him right now. So, hopefully McTavish getting a couple goals gets him rolling. He's been very up and down all season, probably more down than they would have expected. At some point you have to think something clicks, but so far it hasn't.
You mentioned McTavish. What's gone wrong with him this year?
Well, I think there've been probably some physical things like anybody else. He's had some lower back issues and things like that have been kind of touch and go things over the past, not just this season, the past couple of seasons. But again, everybody is dealing with their maladies over the course of the season. I think you look more broadly. Last year, he really turned it on in the second half. I think there were things that motivated him, moving down the lineup, moving to the wing, that kind of stuff. He just kind of tuned out the outside noise and played his game, and it went really well for him. I think that was his approach coming into the year, but it hasn't gone nearly as well. And again, he found himself down in the lineup. He found himself moved out of the middle to try to get him to shoot the puck a little bit more. They put him on some checking lines, do different things, but you don't really see the consistent engagement from him, especially in the defensive side of the puck, but even sometimes on offense. I think he's a guy who's still finding himself as a player, finding himself as a person, but you see those flashes. Again, down the stretch last year, he was phenomenal. He was their best player on the power play and arguably the best player 5-on-5 as well. So the talent is there. It's just not consistent performance at all.
Lastly, you mentioned Gudas and the hit on Matthews, and I respected him for going out there. He clearly couldn't, he didn't even punch back, so he was clearly banged up a little bit. But has it impacted his play? Has he been as aggressive since coming back from the suspension?
Well, I mean, he came back, he got injured, he's kind of been in and out. He missed 5 games, and now he's played the last 2. I think he's a guy who's definitely a role player for them at this point, especially with Carlson coming in. You've got Carlson, you've got Trouba, guys that eat minutes, that take a lot of special teams time and so forth. So I think Gudas there is primarily they rely on him for leadership. They rely on him to disseminate the message from the coaching staff to the players, which he does a very good job of. And a lot of the on-ice stuff is gravy. They just called up Tristan Lena. I'm very curious to see how they use him in the finale. And I think he's a guy to keep an eye on the right side of the defense moving forward.
Well, Andrew, enjoy the game tomorrow night. Should be fascinating or interesting. The final night of the regular season to determine 3 positions and potentially 4 if Vegas loses tonight. So we will see what happens. But literally coming down to the wire in the Pillow Fight Pacific Division this year.
That's a great way to describe it. Well, maybe I'll be on again during the playoffs. We'll see if the Oilers and Ducks clash.
Yeah, it would be great. First time since 2017 that they meet. So that'd be good. Awesome. Appreciate your time.
Anytime.
There you go. That's Andrew Knoll joining us from the LA Daily News. And the Ducks 1-6-2 in their last 10 games. And like most of their losses are against all non-playoff teams. Losing to Vancouver. They're losing to Nashville. They're losing to Toronto. They're losing to St. Louis. Like it's been a brutal stretch. And then, Minnesota was a playoff team, but not last night's roster. They had 10 regulars, 4 defensemen, 6 forwards scratched. And I'm not talking like their bottom 6 forwards. They're top 6. And then Quinn Hughes and Faber and Spurgeon all didn't play, and they still couldn't win. So we'll see what they do tomorrow against Nashville. The Preds obviously got nothing to play for, but they could kind of play spoiler in the sense of say, Anaheim, we'll send you to Colorado. And a loss. Now, a loss doesn't guarantee they go to Colorado. LA would have to get a point in Calgary. So we'll see. Take a quick break. We'll come back with the 2-minute warning. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Got a car you're ready to part with? Find out what it's worth fast, easy, and totally free at Go Auto. We're talking top dollar trade-ins, whether it's a little worn or still rocking that new car smell. Just a few clicks and boom, you've got your value. Text value to 780-777-7777 to start. That's value to 780 all sevens. Why guess what it's worth? Let Go Auto show you the money.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy. Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Craving your favorite mouth-watering pizzas? Papa John's has large specialty pizzas for only $19.99 for a limited time. Get a flavorful all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, Hawaiian, barbecue chicken, and more on original thin or New York style crust. Use the code LSPEC at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. Get yours today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Spring into savings at the Brick. Refresh your home with huge discounts. Save up to $1,800 on sofas and sectionals, and buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game. Save up to 40% off select mattresses and score free delivery when you use your Flexity card. Plus, save 50% when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, proudly Canadian since 1971.
Jason Gregor isn't just a sports guy. He's a community builder with over $3 million raised for local charities. And his Gregor Foundation, he's making a difference on and off the air. Check out Gregor weekday afternoons on Sports 1440.
Hey, it's Jamie from Green Drop Lawn Care. They may be teeny tiny, but chinch bugs can completely devastate your lawn or garden. If you have yellowing grass that doesn't improve with watering, you may already have them. At Green Drop, we'll identify them, treat them, and help you recover from the damage before it's out of control. Stop chinch bugs cold with Green Drop Lawn Care, Canada's lawn expert since 1979. Find out more and get started at greendrop.com.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Mortgages to Go. Need cash and have equity in your home? Mortgages to Go has you covered. When the bank says no, they say yes, and they've been doing it in Alberta for over 23 years. Call 888-888-5958 or visit mortgagestogo.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Gregor, Halley, Kruger with you. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Give a thumbs up to the D-Man if you're online. Also, hit that subscribe button. Numbers keep going up every day. We love it. So thank you very much for listening, for watching the show, for downloading podcasts, and just making us part of your daily routine. Hopefully you enjoy it, because we definitely appreciate you. NBA play-ins going on right now. You got the 76ers taking on Orlando. Early scores, 11-10. It's early, very early. NHL games, some early ones. None that really have any playoff implications until Vegas tonight. Vegas tonight take on the Golden Knights. Or sorry, Vegas doesn't take on themselves. They're taking on Seattle. Seattle wins in regulation. It opens the door for Edmonton to catch Vegas. Vegas is guaranteed that they're going to get home ice advantage, just whether or not going to be the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. They win or get a point, then the order is the best they can do is number 2. The worst they can do is be the second wild card and go to Colorado. So there will be no lack of motivation in the game tomorrow night for the Edmonton Oilers. Now let's get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home of the no payments. No interest for 1 year on your furnace or AC. Bundle them together and save even more at legacyheating.ca.
All right, folks, let's talk about that Chris Pronger interview. You know the one. Gregor's big scoop in the 2 o'clock hour here on Sports 1440. And no, I'm not just saying this because Gregor is my boss. But let's give credit where it's due. Hell of a job, Gregor. Hell of a job. Now, the meat and potatoes of that chat? Juicy stuff. Pronger's new book, Earned, dropped today. And, surprise, the main headline is that 2006 trade, right after the Oilers lost Game 7 to the Hurricanes 3-1. Painful, right? But it got a little spicy when retired Oilers GM Kevin Lowe chimed in yesterday on the LinkedIn. Let's just say he didn't quite agree with Pronger's account. But listen, I'm not here to referee or spill the details of who said what. That's not my job today. No, no, no. Instead, let's zoom out for a sec. This whole Pronger versus Lowe thing got me reflecting on something most folks never see in pro sports, the people factor. We watch goals, saves, hits, the usual highlight reel. But what about the invisible stuff? The human side. Here's my disclaimer, Connor Halley. Cameron Douglas Tate is not, repeat, not saying who's right or wrong. That's above my pay grade and definitely above my risk threshold. What I am saying, can we salute the unsung heroes of hockey, the wives and partners? These women are the ultimate MVPs, running the home penalty kill and still making the bedtime stories. Picture packing up a whole house mid-season because your spouse was traded, finding all the Lego, Googling new schools, and keeping the family functioning while dad's off chasing a different puck. Olympic level stuff. I'm pretty sure some of these women could coordinate a power play and organize a house move simultaneously. Give them a trophy shaped like a minivan with a cup holder for their coffee. They pull off moves even wilder than what happens on the ice. No headlines, but they deserve a standing ovation. And before anyone twists my words, this is not about Edmonton. The point is, behind every trade, contract, and game, families are there, adapting. For me, the Pronger versus Lowe saga is a reminder. Hockey is about the people you don't see, the ones who make it all possible. 2-minute warning. Haley. Kruger, got everything you need over there or what? This is Cam Tate, Sports 1440.
Another good approach, good side to look at it. It's definitely, families, everybody else involved. It's emotional, good or bad. I know the fans, the audience, rather emotional. I would say it was, you know what though, was probably 50-50 on some side on one, maybe not on the others, and we'll see. I look at the situation. Hey, it's 20 years ago, and lots of times that's why you read a book. And people have made up their mind. They believe. A lot of times you kind of believe what you want to believe, right? Like if we want to dig a little bit deeper here for a second, it's something that's awful. Like this, like honestly, we're talking about situation. Hey, did someone get a note? Did they not get a note? Like in the grand scheme of life, like that's nothing. Like that's great. Like that, we can have little fun debates on that because it's obvious it's not life changing. But when you take a step back and think about it, you look at what's going on in society right now, and you have a person in a strong position of power, and there's an Epstein file with names after names after names of powerful people with rape and abuse, and nothing's happened. And some people believe, oh, no, it didn't happen. Like, why? Because they want to believe it, right? Like lots of times, and it could be the average, it could be anybody. And lots of people, their initial reaction is they don't believe another fellow human being is capable of doing something so horrific. But the fact of the matter is they are, continually. So, people can make up their mind, but I always ask someone, like, why am I such a staunch believer in this? Right? I think it's important to always ask yourself that. Like, why? Why am I so steadfast and like, I got to believe this? Right now, sports is fun. So, because, these are good debates and it's good discussion. I like this player. I like that player. Sure. But sometimes you might want to think a little bit bigger and see where it goes. Have yourselves a great Wednesday. Tomorrow, baby. We'll find out. Heck, you might find out tonight. Will Seattle do the Oilers a favor? We'll see. Can the Jays win 2 in a row? Dare to dream. Haven't done it since the first 2 games of the season. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Enjoy your Wednesday. Hopefully you don't have to shovel. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
6 games on the ice tonight in the NHL after 20 minutes. Stars and Sabres tied at 1 apiece. The Rangers lead the Lightning 1-0.